Hey, what's going on, Jasper Nation? I'm here joined by Darby Rollins and the inventor of the VSL and copywriting expert, Jon Benson. Today is going to be an amazing training. I can't wait to dive in. On this screen right now, and if you're watching the recording in the show notes, there's a brand new template out in Jasper. It's the Mini-VSL template. And, this has been requested by Jasper Nation for a while to have a script that you can put out on your social media as a pre-roll ad, on your Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, etc., to generate qualified interest in your company and to drive leads to your business. And we delivered, but it wasn't our creation. We actually tapped on the godfather of the VSL himself, Jon Benson, to help create this. And we're going to dive into how to use VSLs in your funnel, and how Jasper can help you create a mini one really quickly in like 5 minutes. So this is going to be an amazing training. You're not going to just learn how to use Jasper to create a VSL. You'll understand on a deep level the methodology on how to create a really good sales letter. And so this is going to be great for understanding copywriting on a deep level. To walk away today. And guys, about how long do you think this training is going to be for?
I'd say at least 2 hours. So it's in depth.
Yeah.
There's a lot here.
It's going to be an in-depth training. Yeah. There's a lot of very specific points that Jon is going to share on how we trained the AI to do this based off of multi-million-dollar sales letter examples and the frameworks that are in the right order to drive conversions.
Yep.
So yes, it will be recorded. It'll be live on our YouTube channel. And we may even do an encore if you would like in the future. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Darby and Jon, and I'll be here in the comment section. And then I'll come back on here in a little bit to showcase how to use the template. But already on your screen, there's a little button in the bottom left-hand corner or wherever you are on mobile to access this template. So you can go ahead and open it up now and save it there in another tab for later, just so you have it. But no, it's already inside of your account. Free gift from Jon, and this is for all of Jasper users. So welcome if you're new here. If you have been a customer for years now, welcome back. And let's get into the training.
Awesome. Darby, you have anything you want to cover before I dive into the slides?
Well, I just want to say, guys, I think we're going to be in for a real treat here, just learning at this level from the guy who created the VSL himself. And later on in the training, after we get kind of like the foundation set up, we're going to be walking through, one, how to use and implement this VSL recipe that you guys can access right now. And I'll also be sharing with you, or template, excuse me, I'll also be sharing with you guys a recipe that I've made to help you with the brainstorming process of coming up with a lot of these different variables and different inputs, like we do with recipes and using Jasper to really get that creative process flowing, and just help you generate even better content using Jasper. So take it away, Jon.
Awesome. Guys, thank you very much for having me. First of all, this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be glancing a lot to my left because I have a lot of notes and a lot of chats and a lot of feedback. Interesting. I've lost my voice the last couple of weeks, so bear with me. Hopefully I'm going to be okay. So first of all, I want to say that before I start the training, this training is in depth. It's going to go a little long, but it's going to be very, very profitable for you, I believe, if you apply what I'm going to be sharing with you today. And there's a lot here. There's a lot of new stuff here, a lot of stuff that I had to go back to the drawing board and kind of recreate. So we will go over a little bit of the history of that, why VSLs are working again, what you need to do to make them work, and what you need to do before you write a single word or before you log into any software, whether it's Jasper, whether it's now VSL, whether it's any of our software. This is what you need to do first. And it makes and breaks the VSL. It's just that simple. So I want to dive into this. Let me share my screen. We'll do a little check, make sure everyone can hear me okay. And 2 seconds here. And let's make sure that I am up here. Can you guys see me and hear me okay? Can I get a yes from Yes, audio. Yes, please.
Yes, you're looking
Awesome.
good.
Okay. So again, I'm Jon Benson, and today's training is all about a framework for VSLs that can increase your sales and retention time and leads. And it can do this in as little as 21 days. It's pretty exciting. So we're going to show you this framed, and you're going to know what that means in a moment, VSL, that has pulled in about $355 million so far, which is quite a bit, quite a bit of money here. And I think that you would agree that's something that it's very important to do. If framing is working this well, you kind of want to know what that frame is. And a frame is something you build in a VSL before you ever write anything. We're going to go over the 9 steps of doing that today. Now, this works for long or VSLs, short VSLs, and for virtually any business. I've rarely seen a business where video sales letters wouldn't apply to something, whether it's a VSL or a webinar or just video script that you're using to sell in traditional video, even phone scripts, even salespeople can use these tactics very efficiently. We're going to cover them today. And what you're about to see is really the result of me asking one question. It was actually a bunch of people asking me that question, and I started asking myself this question: why are certain video sales letters crushing it while others that look a lot like those VSLs are not? Well, there has to be a difference. It can't just be luck, at least not in my opinion. And I did create the first VSL, and I created the dissection of the very first VSL, and we've got the first VSL training, et cetera, et cetera. So I figured, well, why not take a look at this? Because some of my own video sales letters were doing great, and then some of them were bombing. And I had to figure out why. So I uncovered the reason why. It took a little bit of time to do it. And what I did is I went back and I dissected some of my winners over the past 3 to 4 years, stuff that's been converting pretty recently, okay? My top VSLs. And I use these winners and others to create what's working even better today for video sales letters. And that goes for long form VSLs and short mini VSLs that we just created, like you're going to see today, right in front of you. And then I teamed up with AI author and Jasper to help automate the process even further. I've got it automated in my now VSL software. Now it's automated with True AI. It's pretty exciting to see. You're going to see it here in just a little bit. And it's done roughly 355 million in sales for my clients, myself, different people that I've coached on this, a few people that just really blew it up big on ads in Facebook, for example. And this is only 60 to 90 seconds. So what's really cool about this is you don't need to be some expert copywriter, expert marketer to pull this off. You do need to know 3 of the 9 frames that we're going to cover today that make an attention frame. Now, I'll tell you all about what attention frames are and how to build them and everything today, but you're going to need to know those 3 to make this really, really work well. So here's the deal. Where these frame VSLs work the best is for companies that are out there looking maybe to smash your 4th quarter goals. Maybe you're into something that you're trying to set some sales records for your company, and you need something that's going to give you a boost. I think mini VSLs are a great way to start. And for some companies, full length VSLs are really, really awesome. Now, you also may be a sales rep and you need to drive more qualified leads, and maybe like a VSL within your pipeline, in your sales funnels, maybe a VSL to demo your products that you've got going on, demo your services. VSLs work great for that. Usually they're a little longer, like 5 minutes long, but still they're fairly short. Now, you may also be running ads, and you need to test and find the winners. And this is where mini VSLs are just the king of the crop. I mean, this is the best use, I think, for them. And what we're looking for is what I call ideal buyers, not just buyers. Ideal buyers. And we can filter ideal buyers, not just through clever ad placing, which you can, but also through clever words, the words that will resonate more deeply with the people that you're more interested in selling to. Let me know if you think that this would help you. If you knew how to speak the language of your customer's buying brain, so to say, would that help? Everyone should be saying yes in the chat, right? Like a lot of yeses coming through in the chat. Of course that would help. That's part of what we're going to talk about today. And that's why these things work so well. Now, what I've done is I've screen captured just 3 or 4 of these just to give you an idea. My friend Perry Belcher, he's one of the guys that started Traffic and Conversions and digital marketer. He's using this right now. As you can see, that's a VSL on this page. And we're using this right now inside CopyPro, as a matter of fact, right here, if I can ever get to it. But this is Sam Cart first. Sam Cart's using this, but they're not using it really, really effectively. And the reason why is something we'll go into a little bit later. Perry did. Now, this is the short mini VSL for CopyPro, where the narrator is actually speaking all these words. And the reason why the sound is off is so that you can hear me and not get too distracted. And this is Ted Perdomo, one of the top LinkedIn coaches in the world. And he's just sitting there talking in front of a camera on LinkedIn, but he's using the framework in this script to do it. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use what I'm going to be teaching you today. And I'll show you how many different avenues that you can use. Now, by far, the most amount of money in VSLs that have made over the last, since 2006 when I created them, we're talking billions of dollars with a B. That's not an exaggeration. That's not a marketer like, oh, I'm just a big fish story. No kidding. Billions of dollars is if you're selling with a long form VSL, like an info product, supplements, software, services, coaching, you name it. Long form VSLs are just critical. They're beyond vital if you have any sort of products or services in those kind of niches. And the framework is beyond vital for that. All 9 components of the framework I'm going to show you today really need to be in place if you want to optimize sales, optimize leads, optimize conversions. Is that cool? Now, last thing I want to say is maybe you're just working for a sales company, you're a sales rep, or you want to move up in your sales company and you just want to impress your boss with something that's new, something that may work really, really well. Well, you're in the right place. Okay. Now, the most important thing I'm going to teach you today, I want you to be ready to write this down. Okay. Write this down, please. I believe what's more important than a VSL is to understand and apply why VSLs work. And that is what I've done for the past 15 or so years. I've dissected and taught why VSLs are working so you can apply the psychology to emails. Why not? To webinars, of course, right? To any video that you do. In this framework, I'm going to teach you that sits on top of a VSL. You don't have to rewrite a VSL to do this. You just stick it on top. And it's going to work for just about any type of marketing that you do. This new framework is going to be applied to VSLs, webinars, sales pages, talking head videos, video marketing, even in-person marketing, and more. You can really use this in a lot of different ways. And this is what makes persuasion work, by the way. This framework is what makes persuasion even possible. In all forms of selling, more effective, because the more persuasive you are, and I don't mean the more manipulative you are, that's bad mojo. I'm talking about true ethical persuasion. And I teach ethical persuasion literally as a course. So I'm talking about ethical persuasion, what to tell the truth, in other words, be bold enough to tell the entire truth and communicate realistically and with rapport with your potential buyers. Your selling will improve. And all of that is involved in this teaching. This is what you have to do before you write a single word of your VSL. If you've already written it, don't worry. You can backtrack without rewriting the whole thing and just plug this stuff in. Or even before you enter a keyword in Jasper, which you're going to see today. In fact, you may already be playing around with it. Stop that. Pay attention to me. But if you are, before you enter a keyword in Jasper, this is the stuff that you need to know to really teach the thing, Jasper, what to find and how to communicate. It's super important to know this stuff before you start. So why am I doing this? Why am I speaking with you here today? Well, I'm not really here to sell you a bunch of stuff, although I am going to present you with an offer at the end of this presentation, and I think that you'll want to take me up on it. What I'm here to do more than anything is to sell you on yourself, to sell you on the ability that you have, that you can have with the right tools, the right framework, the right software, the right team, all this stuff, that you can build a VSL that will make your business more profitable. Period. That is really it. This can help anyone in any business. Now, we use VSLs as the teaching model. And yes, I believe every VSL should have, every business should have a VSL, every single one of them. But the goal I have for you is to take your existing VSL or create a new one and see more sales that you can measure in 21 days or less. Okay. Now that's a long goal. I've got people that have done this in 21 hours. They went through they dissected, they went through my training. I coached it one-on-one with them. They dissected it, they tweaked it, and the next day they had a different version up. But I'm not expecting that of you. I'm not expecting that of everyone. Give yourself 21 days. But in 21 days, if you saw more sales, would you be happy? Would this be a good thing? Yes? Okay, yeah. Very few people saying, no, I don't want more sales, John. I don't want more sales. So I think it is a good thing. In fact, I'm going to make this a little even sweeter for you because I want you to stick around and I'm going to give you something for free that will definitely help your sales above and beyond what we're talking about. And it's about how to tell a story that sells. I call it the story selling formula. Like there are components of a story that you need to know, especially when you write a VSL, especially when you write a webinar, especially when you write a sales page. Things that AI and software like mine, they can't do for you. Not yet. And one of these days it'll be able to read our minds, but and Jasper will be there first, I'm sure. But the point is, until that happens, it really helps to understand how to tell a story that sells. So I'd love to give this to you for free. It's a framework for a story, and I've used it for years. So I'll give you the link to get that at the very end of the webinar for sticking around today. So I'm going to show you some long form VSLs right now, just from one merchant, just so I can prove something to you. VSLs are now effective once again. Okay. This is the merchant ClickBank. And now, before I show you ClickBank and you go, I'm not a ClickBank guy, that's okay. One of 1,000 different, one of 100 different merchants that I can think of, dozens of merchants out there that people can use. ClickBank is one of many. So I chose this because it's easy for me to prove what I'm about to show you by taking screenshots of the VSLs and showing you what the gravity scores are and showing you that these are the #1 VSLs in multiple categories. For example, this one is in weight loss. As you can see over there on the left, you can see the data for yourself. It's the #1 weight loss is VSL, not a sales page, not a webinar, a VSL. The #1 business investing in Forex, VSL. The #1 in computers, internet, VSL. And they're all ugly, by the way. If you notice that, these are not highly produced videos, okay? Self-help, VSL. And I could go on and on and on. Today, we're going to create a mini VSL using Jasper and this attention frame. Not one of those long VSLs, but I wanted to show you what's possible. Those long VSLs can make a lot of money. And we're going to do this right in front of your eyes. And check this out. Not only that, using your Jasper account and the recipe we're going to give you, and I think that you've already got access to this, you can crank out mini VSLs in a matter of minutes. Now, you are going to need to know what I'm going to teach you to make that VSL as effective as possible. So do pay attention to that. That's super important. And when AI Author and Jasper showed me what they take my script and what they took the recipe and they showed it to me in Jasper the other day, it blew my mind. So this is really cool stuff. I can't wait to show it to you. Now I'm going to do a quick intro of myself in case you don't know who I am. I am officially known as the godfather of the VSL. I did not give myself that term, but somebody else did. And people will tell you that, and what's true, I did create VSLs in 2006. The very first one was for my book, The Every Other Day Diet. The second one was The Truth About Abs. The third one was Pimsleur, and onward it went. It just became a tsunami, okay, a tsunami of sales since then. And Ryan Dias is someone who's very famous for copying this and admitting, hey, I just copied John and admitted it in audio. And he and I are good friends, so we joke about this. But he does tell the truth here. And the truth is, I'm the coach to top level guys. Like Ryan says, VSLs like I use have a kind of hypnotic effect that simply works, and we've used them to make millions. That's true. In case you don't know Ryan, he's the founder of Traffic and Conversions and the founder of Digital Marketer. And Frank Kern, one of the world's largest, most famous marketers for sure, and a great guy, hands down the best VSL training he's ever seen. I'm the only person he's actually hired to write a VSL for him, which is very interesting. My friend Mike feels the same. I've used John's training and techniques, created VSLs in a matter of hours. To give you a context of that, a lot of people take months to create a VSL. So if I can give you just a fraction of this, is it going to be worth it to you? Okay, got a lot of more testimonials, but more importantly, let's get on with why this is so very different. Why is what I'm talking about different than any VSL training you've ever heard before? You've probably never heard the term attention framework before, or maybe even frameworks, okay? But attention frameworks crush it regardless of what you're selling or even what industry you're in. VSLs have been somewhat flexible, but not this flexible. This allows it to be much more flexible, using, again, more in-person, more webinar, more email. You can use this in everything that you do. And you can pop it on top of any kind of video without having to recreate the whole thing from scratch, unless you've got a really bad video. Now, then I would suggest, yes, use the 5-step VSL formula. We'll talk about that in a moment. Use tools like Jasper, whatever, and start over. But at least if you have to start over, if it's a complete bomb, you're starting with something that has some concrete behind it, has some solidity behind it. And again, you will learn to speak the language of your ideal buyer. Every offer has an ideal customer, like I said. And if there's one person you want to buy your stuff, it is your ideal buyer, your perfect prospect, someone who resonates with you, someone who is not just going to be a buyer, but someone that's going to become a fan. And the difference there is that fans and raving fans on top of that become your biggest sales force. So when you get ideal buyers buying your stuff, your sales radically increase exponentially because it's a word of mouth effect, and you can't buy that. You can, however, write that. And that's what I'm going to show you today. Doesn't even require you being a copywriter. You don't have to know that. You don't have to be a copy expert. You don't have to be a marketing whiz or 10-year pro to be successful with this. You just need to know the 9 things that you need to build an attention framework, where to put them, and have the right tools. Okay? Now, this is very important, but I always believe in asking the question why. So will you do this with me? Why are you here today? And if you're honest with yourself, you're here today because something isn't quite right. You want something better. You don't have a VSL and you want one. You have a VSL that kind of sucks and you want a better one. You want to just make more money online. What is your big why here? Okay. Well, let me tell you why I think this is so important for you to get this underneath your fingertips. First of all, you're probably not a pro copywriter. You are a marketer or the owner of an offer that just needs effective sales copy. Before you say, I'm not a marketer, I am a blank. Let me prove this to you. Now, you may be a dentist who happens to need to market his business or her business. You may be a member of a Fortune 500 sales force, and you're not in the marketing department, but you still need to market the business. You might be a solopreneur. You might be an artist. You might be a speaker, a coach, you name it. It doesn't matter what you do. Tack marketer on the end of it if you want to increase your sales online using any sales vehicle. That's it. So you might not be a professional marketer and definitely probably not a pro copywriter. If you are, you're in a good place, by the way, because I'm a pro copywriter as well. But you have to be a marketer in order to understand what it takes to build your business to the next level. Doesn't mean you have to be a professional marketer. You just need to know some of our skills. And simply having a VSL these days is just no longer enough because the competition is so noisy out there. I mean, digital noise from so much video marketing right now is just insane. And you have to cut through that noise. And that's what this is going to help you do. I think VSLs are also still the best lead magnets. Again, ideal customers, not just customers. And without leads, you will starve. Okay. Well, maybe not literally starve, hopefully not literally starve, but your business will starve because your business depends on new leads coming in. Reliability and predictability. These are 2 words that I choose to live by. I want a reliable and predictable income, business, marketing funnel, etc. Those 2 words. And you can't have that unless you have some way of getting leads in on a daily or weekly basis. Now, attention frameworks work with the right tools. And if you have the right tools, they're actually fairly easy to build. There's a couple of tricky places that you do need some coaching for sure, but for the most part, they're pretty easy to build. And like I said, you can pop this over an existing VSL or any form of marketing that you currently have. So let's dive in and talk about how to build one. You're going to ask yourself just 9 checklist questions. I feel like Ferris Bueller, 9 times, 9 checklist questions. Every answer has to be a yes before your VSL is ready for prime time. So let me stop and tell you something right now. The 1 minute, 90-second VSL you're going to show does not have all 9 components. It's not supposed to because you couldn't cram it in there, right? But the ones that it has, we can point it out later. In fact, I'm going to perform a little quiz on you, see if you can spot them at the end of the training. You need to make sure that the ones that are there in the right places. So shorter VSLs have less, but we're going to cover 9 because I want to show you all of them in case you need and you want a long form VSL, or if you're selling with a webinar or a sales page. Does that make sense? Does that sound reasonable? Just 9 things. Ready? Here we go. I want you to remember this acronym. Now. Just write down now. It's a very easy acronym to remember. It stands for notice, one, want. Okay? So notice, one, want. That's what we're going to do. Now, that doesn't mean I want you to only notice one want that your client has and write around it, although that's part of it. It's just a way for me to remember now, okay? This is breaking things down into three things, three steps. N for notice, O for one, and W for once. We're going to break each of these down right now. Now, the N is for notice, and the very first way that you have to focus on notice is that your VSL must first be noticed by your ideal buyers, okay? By your ideal buyers. Now, remember I said there's going to be 9 questions you have to say yes to? Here's the first one. Write it down. Is my VSL or webinar or sales page, whatever you say, getting noticed with sufficient attention within the first 7 seconds? Now, how do you tell that? Well, I will go into how you tell it later. Tools like Wistia can tell you that, but that's not important right now, because you can know right off the bat, if your sales are suffering, your first 7 seconds is probably the first place you need to look. Now, how do you get noticed? How does that happen? Well, have you ever heard the saying that a woman knows if she's going to date a man within the first 7 seconds of meeting him? Well, I don't know if that's true or not, but I can guarantee you your buyer knows on some level, subconsciously, whether or not there's even a possibility of saying yes to your offer. Even if they don't know it's an offer. A lot of VSLs are very well disguised and you can't tell they're an offer, but they can tell it immediately. How do you get through the clutter and the noise in somebody's mind? Well, you do it through the use of pattern interrupts. Now, pattern interrupts is nothing new. I didn't invent pattern interrupts. It's an NLP term, but I put it in the first VSL a long time ago. But they must be done in a certain way these days to create a slightly different enhanced feeling. Now, what is a pattern interrupt? A pattern interrupt is a series of words or phrases that happen within the first 7 to 14 seconds of a VSL that kind of scratches the disc of the brain, if you will. Remember back to old CD-ROM discs, okay? I might date myself a little bit, but you scratch those things, they never play the same. Same thing goes for the brain. I want to break the pattern of a user coming into my site and scratch it to where there's something, they're not expecting something. I will either say something inquisitive, I will say something intriguing, I will say something shocking, I will say something that doesn't seem to make any sense. I will do a lot of different things I can do to make that first 7 seconds really, really stand out. And what you're going for here is to get attention. That's the first thing you want, but it's not enough to get attention. And we're going to talk about that next. You must be noticed by your ideal buyers. So it's one thing for your VSL to be noticed by your ideal buyers. That's great. But then you have to be noticed. The speaker of the VSL, the company behind the video script, must be noticed by your ideal buyers. But here's the question you need to ask yourself. This is question 2. Am I being noticed by my ideal buyer without being too flashy or unreachable? Please write those words down. We have noticed that when people are too flashy, sure, they can land sales, here are my 8 Ferraris and all that stuff. They'll land sales, but their refunds go through the roof and they can't maintain their businesses that long because it's just too much hype. And people are just caught on to the BS. They caught on to the hype. So are you being too flashy? Are you talking too much about yourself? Are you droning on about your mission statement as a company? Oh, we're all about this and we're all about this and we're all about this. Guess what? That puts you into a flashy category, even if you don't have the Ferraris. So are you being flashy? Are you being unreachable? So check this out. I'm a little bit of an exception here. I can talk a little bit more about myself because we're talking about VSLs and I created them. But even so, if I droned on and on about myself at the very beginning, you would probably, I'm bored already. I don't care, whatever. Get on with it, right? Well, that's true for everyone on the planet. And it's one of the hardest things to get through to marketers and companies, especially branded companies with a strong brand, companies that really want to reach a lot of different people, is that the people that you're selling to, they're not interested in you. They're interested in what pain you can solve for them. And if you know how to speak to that pain point, you will not only get the attention, which is what the first 7 seconds does, you will secure the attention. And we're going to talk about securing attention over and over today. Those 2 words will resurrect any offer. Secure attention. Getting attention is what a lot of offers do, a lot of VSLs do, but they don't lock it down. They don't secure it. And you have to know how to secure it. The first place we do it is here. Finally, your ideal buyer must be noticed by you, and get this, given permission to be noticed by others. Now, right here is where everyone that hasn't taken a philosophy class or a psychology class may just tune out and go, what on earth are you talking about? It's a little tricky, but let me give it to you and break it down for you a little bit. This is really the secret to selling, without being overtly salesy, to set the framework as a conversation rather than speaking one to many. It's a one-to-one conversation. So how do you get this? How do you get somebody to have permission to do this? Well, you do it with two of the most important words you'll ever hear in marketing: validation and empathy. Now, if you've taken it, have you taken any relationship courses? Say yes in the chat if you have. If you've taken relationship courses, I've taken a lot of them. They talk about validation and empathy a lot. Well, guess what? You are creating a relationship with a potential buyer. That's not a lot different than a relationship with a friend or even a partner. No, maybe some different for the partners for sure, but it's the same mentality. You have to approach it with validation and empathy. Validation occurs when you can say to somebody, I understand your pain. Even better is if you can say, I understand your pain because I've been there. Now, those are not the precise words you would use, but that's the idea. So validation says it's okay that you have not had success with video sales letters, that you've not had success with training your dog, that you've not had success with weight loss. It's perfectly understandable. In your shoes, it would be exactly the same way. Validation. You've validated them and you've validated their pain. Empathy. You're oozing empathy at this point. And this psychologically, there's more to it than this, of course, but we're trying to get to this training relatively quickly. It could go for 4 or 5 days here, but there's more to it. But these two little tips right here can help people feel as if they've been given permission. Like this weight has been lifted off their shoulders and they're like, oh, wow. Then I'm not defective. I'm not totally out of the game. I actually can do this. And not only can I do it, I think I want to do it. I think I want to say to my father-in-law, told you so. You doubted me, whoever it is in their mind. You want to be able to give them the permission to do that. And believe it or not, it starts psychologically with those two words. So that's question 3. Have I given my ideal buyer the psychological permission to be noticed and the mental security to receive it? That's exactly how you do it. That's exactly how you do it. So be sure to write down question number 3. So that is the story behind validation and empathy. So what I want to do right now is let's recap the in and now before we move to the O and now. Your VSL first must be noticed by your ideal buyers. Yes, right? The first 7 seconds. You must be noticed by your ideal buyers. That usually occurs in many VSLs, it occurs in the next 10, 15 seconds, but in longer form VSLs, that can actually go on for minutes, okay? You have to know how to do that. And your ideal must be noticed by you and given permission to be noticed by others, psychologically speaking. Okay, so now we got the N. Let's move on to the O. And the O in now stands for one. And these are the 3 ones, the 3 ones that make all the difference in marketing. It's the most important ones you'll ever learn. The one big problem, okay? There's one big problem. And here's the question that you need to ask yourself. This is question 4. Have I distilled my ideal buyer's problems into one big branded hook-like problem? And let me tell you, this one is important. And what you want to do, let me know if this makes sense, is to write down all the reasons why you think that your ideal buyer is not succeeding at whatever is the topic that you're selling, whatever answer that you have. Now, if they haven't lost weight successfully, why? If they haven't learned to market their business online, why? Write them down. And then you're going to take those reasons and you're going to combine them into one big branded hook-like problem. Now, this is going to take a lot of avatar research. We're going to get into that in a moment. So just so you know, but you want to have a name for something. Now, I'll give you an example. So P90X, the workout guys, right? Well, they had this thing called muscle confusion. Now, it was both a problem and a solution. Muscle confusion was the reason why you're not making progress and the answer to your goals. Now, it's one of the few that work both ways. But muscle confusion became the thing that people were saying when they were talking about working out. There's so many. Leptin resistance was one of my most famous big hook problems. And that went on to become a $60 or $70 million from a VSL from BioTrust. They wrote a whole campaign in VSL around leptin resistance. It actually became a term that you can Google, where it's just something I actually made up. So I just renamed a condition, but I summed all of weight loss into one serious problem they look at. And that went on to solve all the other problems when they address this one. It's kind of like saying, you know what, there's many reasons why you're not doing blank right. But if you could do one thing, and it would make such a big difference, 80% of your gains would come from this, it would be boom. Well, this is the inverse of this. This is the inverse. What one thing is causing the problem? Man, if you solve this one problem, it's a big problem, and I'm going to help you solve it. And I call it blank. And it's the I call it blank that I want you to think about. When you do this, you're creating what's called a negative hook. That will become the reason, the one reason your prospect is in pain and failing. So my negative hook for this VSL, by the way, is digital noise. I said it earlier, digital noise. Another example is the one I just gave you, leptin resistance. But there are some important things that you have to do in order to create these that make them stick. And this is the more challenging part of the creative process. How do I brand something? And I've got some great tools to help you do just that. We'll talk about in a moment. And this one.
Hey, real quick, I'm just curious because you're on a roll. There's if we write down all of these and they actually follow your advice in a few minutes, they can actually apply what they've written down and what they're learning from the master on how to do this into Jasper, and then generate a really good VSL. Instead of just watching together, why don't we actually do this together now? So by the end of this training, you'll actually have it. Because here's the thing, you're going to walk away with this with a lot of information and nothing done. Why don't we be productive here? Follow along with him right now, because he's explaining on how to create a great VSL. If you write this down, even type it out, because you can copy and paste it in Jasper, it will really crank this out for you. So, dude, I just want to say you're killing it. This is an amazing amount of value. And so please actively learn here and write down what is that one big problem that your company has. And then what is that one big solution you're going to go into it. So with that, the stage is yours again. I just want to, check on people here that they're not just listening passively and they're working alongside with.
Thank you, Austin. I am one of these guys. I want interaction. So now granted, I'm in presentation mode, so I can't see the questions and chats, but we will get to those later. But let me be specific. The one problem is the problem that your customer has. They have one big problem that's keeping them away from achieving their goals. Even if they have 7 problems, okay, that they have to address all 7 problems, I want you to lump it into one and give it a branded term. And then when you explain it, you can say, now there are 7 components of this one problem. The brain can digest one much faster. In fact, there's something you should understand that you should never do. And never ask your customer to receive more than one idea in a sales message. In other words, if there's 16 hooks, or if there's you've got to remember 19 things. Okay. So even in this, there's one acronym that you got to remember this now. So that I'm breaking this down. Now you can remember now easily. Now it has 9 components to it. So that's how the brain learns. I just need one thing you got to remember, the acronym now. Breaking it down. You're watching me do this right in front of you. It's the same thing. The one bigger solution, okay? The one bigger solution is a very important question, and here it is. Have I distilled the primary mechanism of my offer into one big branded hook-like solution? Very similar to the problem, except this is a solution. Now, what is a primary mechanism? It's not the name of your offer. It's what makes your offer work, the secret sauce, the tick, makes it tick, okay? So this is how you do this. I call this a positive hook, and my positive hook in this particular VSL, and this is a video sales letter, even though it's done in a workshop format, it's called attention frameworks. That's actually the hook, okay? Just remember, or a mini VSL, there's actually 2 of them in here. Just remember, the wording is less important than the framing for your offer as the only solution to blank, because you can now say that if you have a bigger solution. Now, I know you might be asking, well, Jon, how do I write these big problems and bigger solutions? And I have training for that. I have training that actually takes total novices into creating some multi-million-dollar hooks. It's pretty cool. I'll share that with you later. But the idea is important to get down now. So you can say, for example, go back to our P90X example. P90X is the only workout program in the world that deals with muscle confusion. Is that technically true? No. As a guy that comes from the fitness space, I can tell you that that's not technically true, that most resistance training deals with muscle confusion, but they patented the term. They didn't patent it necessarily, but they patented it in logistical senses. So the same thing goes for back in the 70s. Budweiser beer had Beechwood aged. Well, most beers are Beechwood aged. They just named it that. It's just a process that most beers go through. So I could give you 100 different examples of a primary solution, a bigger solution that you need to have to make your offer work. It's the reason it works. It's not the name of the offer. So do you have that? Because if you have that, and you're going to see this in what we're going to talk about today, it makes all the difference, even in a 90-second VSL. It's the thing that makes someone go, oh, I've never heard of that, click. Oh, maybe that's the reason why I haven't succeeded. I don't even know what that is. Click. I mean, that is it. And it can come down to 2 or 3 simple words. And finally, one call to action. And this one is by far the easiest. This is one you can change immediately right now by asking this one question. Do I have one single price point featured in an easy to understand call to action? Now, all the big companies out there right now that sell software, they're going, oh no, we've got like basic and enterprise and this and that. I know what you're saying. Sometimes you have to have more than one choice, but more than one choice will always bring about more buyer friction. Friction is simply the resistance to get from your sales page to the credit card. Okay. Think of it as anything that's blocking that. And you want to reduce friction as much as humanly possible. So whenever it's humanly possible, sell only one thing with one link. If you send an email out, don't send out 4 different emails unless you're targeting different articles that you want people to go to. One link, one offer, because it's so easy to say it's a binary thing, man. Yes, no, simple. And then if they say no, you can downsell to your other offers. This is a very cool thing to do. I highly suggest that you're doing that. One link on the page whenever possible, one price whenever possible. Now, sometimes you're going to have, for example, you can have this for $25 or 3 payments of, $10, whatever the case may be. That's okay. That's 2 different price points. That's still a decision though. And sometimes we have to do this. I have to do this. I get it. But whenever possible, try to have one. Okay. That's the ones. So let's recap them really quick. You got one big problem. You're going to brand it. You're going to own it. You're going to be the only person out there talking about blank. It's like you can call yourself, I am the blank solver. That whatever those 2 or 3 words in, I am the only guy or the only girl, the only whatever, solving the problem of blank. So that immediately makes you stand out in any ad, in any VSL. Same thing goes with the one solution, and the secret to solving blank is what I call blank. There you go. You got 2 of them right there. It's so easy to fit into even a mini script, one call to action. And now we're into our last 3 questions. This is it, guys. The W in now stands for want. And there's some psychology here. I want you to get into this, okay? There are 3 wants that I need you to focus on in effective video sales letter or sales page or webinar copy. These are the buying language of your prospect that I mentioned earlier. This is how you speak their buying language. Everyone's got a buying language very similar to a love language. You've probably heard the term love languages, right? There's 5. Well, guess what? There's different buying languages. And you as a marketer, whether you are, professional marketer or not, you must learn to speak the buying language. And here they are. Number 1, immediate wants. The first up thing, you have to understand your prospects' immediate wants. And here's how you know if you've got that. It's question number 7. Do I have something my ideal buyer will want? It's promised in the first 90 seconds of my VSL. That's delivered inside my VSL. And let me tell you, a lot of things that differentiate what I'm teaching and what I've seen other people teach, not to bash on other people. There are many, many great marketers and teachers and copywriters out there. That's not what I'm saying. But there are key distinctions here that are so important for you to catch. Okay, it's one thing to have a promise in a VSL. It's another thing to have that promise delivered in the VSL. Now, this is for a long form VSL. Obviously, the mini VSL, you can't fulfill on that. you can offer a promise, but you can't fulfill it in the VSL. But in your longer form VSLs, you should always say, by the end of this video, you will learn blank. You will walk away with blank, just like we're doing here. You will walk away with tons and tons of knowledge. Promises delivered in under an hour. That's what you want to think about. That's immediate wants. And the better promises that you can make are the ones that are the things that they want the fastest. Now, you can't say by the end of this 1 hour training, you'll write a multi-million-dollar VSL, because that's really not possible. But you can say by the end of this training, you will have the tools at your fingertips, if you choose, to teach you to write a multi-million-dollar VSL. So, and I'm going to show you the 9 components, that most important framework that you'll ever see right now. So that's an immediate want. What's a long-term want? Do you have long-term wants? Long-term wants are logical extensions of immediate wants. And here's the checklist question that I want you to ask for this. We're down to question 8, only 2 more to go. Do I have promises my ideal buyer will want to receive in all the key persuasion targets within my VSL? Now, we do not have time to go into all the different persuasion targets. There are about 12 of them, different places that you want to put things to say, this is where I'm going to fulfill on these long-term logical conclusions. In other words, if you have this, it's a logical conclusion that you will also get or want this. Okay, let me break this down for you a little bit. Now, first of all, wants are vastly different than needs, vastly different than needs. For example, your wife may come up to you and say, honey, I need to go to Hawaii. Okay, probably she doesn't need to go to Hawaii. She wants to go to Hawaii. And if you ask her why she wants to go to Hawaii, she might say things like, well, I just need to relax a little bit, need a vacation. But why do you need us to go to Hawaii? Because we need time together. Can you just hear this? Doesn't that just, yeah, everyone's shaking their head yes, because we've either been here or we get it. I need alone time with you. So it's not Hawaii that she needed. It's actually alone time. What she wanted is Hawaii. And so understanding the difference there is massive, okay? I'll give you an example from my niche I write a lot in is weight loss, okay? My ideal buyer thinks that they want to fit back into their high school jeans, or they want to sport a sexy waistline this summer, or they want to have more energy. Those are all very important wants, but they're not needs. None of those are needs. Those are all wants. And you have to understand the difference between an immediate want, like what I can deliver in an hour or less, and a long-term want. Like, for example, I can help you fit back into your high school jeans over the next 60 days. You see what I'm saying? You have to know these wants and know how they phrase their wants. What if I gave you a tool, which I can, that will basically be like mind reading, as close to mind reading, ethical mind reading as you can possibly get, knowing your avatar so well, you'll know how they even phrase these wants, so that when you speak to them, it's like, holy moly, this person's like a psychic or something. It's like I was destined to watch this VSL. That's the kind of effect these attention framework VSLs can get, because they're just phrased in a way where you're not using your own words, you're using their words. And I can tell you how to find their words. Finally, there's a value want, okay? This is all about your offer and pitch. So I didn't have time to go into a perfect pitch. The perfect pitch is a very long conversation, but I just will tell you this. The value want has to be there. Your prospect must feel like they are making a wise decision, because here's how people buy. They buy from emotion and they justify with logic. So a value want is one that says, this is going to help you feel blank. You're going to feel this. You're going to look like this. You're going to be like this. All these emotions, right? And you're going to be able to do it because of the 1, 2, 3 system, logically justified. In fact, my training is the only 1, 2, 3 system in existence. So this is your only choice. Do you see what I'm saying? Well, honey is the only choice. It's the only one that had the 1, 2, 3 system in it. And plus, I do want to feel this way and this way and this way. That's how you create a proposition that is almost irresistible of value want. Longer training than that, obviously, to create the little nuances there, but that's the big thing. So here's the question I need to give you before we go over the summary. Is my offer truly irresistible? One that captures exactly what my ideal buyer wants at a price that's in the sweet spot. So let's just talk a little bit about sweet spot, since we already talked about the psychology. What is the sweet spot? Well, this is where you can do some research and it will pay off big time. But most marketers I know try 3 different price points. And they have different policies. Some refund their customers if they overpaid, for example. Hey, we tested this price. You paid $49. It ended up being $29. We're giving you $20 credit back. Now, we've done that before. I think that's a great way to do it. But you need to find where the sweet spot is, because if it's over or under, a lot of people undercharge, then you're leaving a lot of money on the table, a lot of customers on the table. Okay, so let's do the quick recap here.
Could you show that last question real quick? It looks like they some people missed it there.
Oh, sure, yeah. Is my offer truly irresistible? One that captures exactly what my ideal buyer wants, and at a price point, not at price point, typo. And John's a copywriter, not a typo, not a typer. At a price point that's in the sweet spot. That is the irresistible offer. Something that your ideal buyer truly wants. Okay, wants sell more than needs. Needs are important to emphasize. Wants are important to sell, but in the sweet spot, one that you've tested the price points for. So let's recap the W. You've got immediate wants, the things that you're going to fulfill in your long form VSL, sales page, webinar, conversation, you name it, phone script. If you guys are a phone salesman, hey, by the time you get off this call with me, you're going to know exactly how to do blank. In the next 30 seconds, the next 10 minutes. In a VSL, it's the next hour, next 30 minutes, whatever it may be. Long-term ones, the things that you know that your buyer wants. This is their buying language and how they word it. So I'll give you a quick example here. If I say to my list, who originally when I first started, I started in the bodybuilding fitness world, and so I wrote a book called Fit Over 40, and there's a muscle guy on the cover, me, and then it just looked ridiculous because my audience ended up being 68-year-old women. But I never thought that. I thought it would be like 35 to 45-year-old guys. Wrong. So I'm sitting there talking about shredded abs and getting ripped and looking good on a magazine cover or whatever. They're like, what the heck are you talking about, man? I never want to do that. I just want my knees not to hurt. And so I had to rephrase everything. So that's one thing. You need to know your avatar. I get the best avatar research tool in the world. I'm going to show it to you in a moment. But long-term ones also speak the language of how they say it. For example, my avatar doesn't say my knees hurt. Most of them say my knees creak and pop. So I'm just giving you this little example. Imagine doing this, that you have a headline that says, are your knees creaking and popping? Read this article to find out how to solve it. You know that the majority of your users are using that phrase, that terminology. Well, you're going to get immediately more buyers just by changing a few words. But if I said, if your knees hurt, I wouldn't get as many. I'd get some, but I wouldn't get as many. Value wants, the price, and you have everything nailed down on the price. The price is everything. Make sure your price is good, and make sure that you've justified that buying decision based on logic and emotion. I know longer course to go into how to do that, but that is the gist of it. And let me tell you, people that are using this are seeing some pretty radical results. I'm just going to show you a few case studies right now. Okay, the right formula for VSLs can do this. Ken works for a financial company, and he said this increases viewer retention time and, of course, more sales. Look at the new VSL at the bottom. Look at the difference on that retention time. It just shot up. That is called securing attention. That's the difference between getting attention like you did in VSL 1. All those VSLs tend to drop off pretty quick, but look at the difference between that and VSL 2. Look how much more secure the attention is. It's just locked in. Robert is a solopreneur who relies on video marketing, both in the traditional means and in video sales letters and webinars, doubled his sales using this method. Dewan is a financial manager. He's in the business development space, and he just says this stuff just simply converts. It does. It converts. It helps people make more sales. And Kevin, who's a solopreneur in Brazil, he actually did this, converted it to, he actually speaks English and Portuguese, and converted the copy that was written out of the machine into Portuguese and made 7 figures his first year. Now that's an extreme case. I do have these kind of testimonials, a lot of them, but I don't like to give a ton of them because they're the extreme. And so I want to give the people like I just gave you, like people that are really doing really, really well. And yeah, some people go out and make 7 or 8 figures, but that's not the norm. Okay. So Caleb O'Dowd is a guy that definitely isn't out of the norm, but he spent so little time on this mini VSL that I gave him. And he wrote the script out of Now VSL, the software that you're about to see, and 90 seconds long. It's also now in Jasper, by the way. So very cool. And he's spending $650 a day on it and making a killing. So he got up to $15,000 a day on this little, getting leads like crazy. And he was converting those leads to a $17,000 product. So here's a quick recap of today's training, because just take a big deep breath with me right now, because that was a lot to go over. And now we're going to go into Jasper. We're going to show you how this works in Jasper for the Mini-VSL. And I want to show you where the 3 attention frames are. Here's a very quick recap. We covered what attention frames are and why they're essential for any VSL or webinar or sales page to be effective in today's digital noise, in the digital noise of today's space. We covered the now method and how to use it inside your frame. So now you can just remember the word now. Notice, want. We covered the in and now, which is notice, how to get and secure attention. We covered the O and now, one, why focusing on these one things can make or break your sales. We covered the W and now, or once, how to create a truly irresistible offer to land far more sales. Okay? And now let's show it to you in action live. Okay? Interested in doing that? I'm going to bring on Darby, the founder of AI Author, and Austin, if you want to come on too. I don't know if you're in the background. We created a mini VSL from scratch. Now, they took my template, created a recipe around it, taught Jasper some things, used the data from this attention framework course. There are 3 specific spots, and want to show you what is going on. Of course, they're using Jasper's AI to do this. Now, Darby, like I said, used 3 of them, and I'm asking you to see if you can spot them. See if you can spot them from the questions that you wrote down. Are you ready? Darby, you ready?
Oh, I'm ready to rock and roll.
I'm going to exit out of my slides and I'll come back over to here. And give me 2 seconds. And stop sharing my screen.
All right.
Now we're not done with the content yet, but this is going to be an interesting break.
Yeah. So Darby, do you want me to share?
I figure I kind of intro a little bit about kind of how we got to this point, even because Jon, that was just a killer presentation. Thank you so much for dropping that knowledge and all that value. And when we connected over this several months ago, right? And everyone in the comments just share kind of like, did you like that presentation from Jon? I got a ton of value out of it. And a few months ago, I was completely oblivious to what went behind a VSL like this. We started working together to see like, how can we take this process with your VSLs and turn it into something that the entire Jasper community can use. And that's what we've developed here for you guys, that you guys can all access with this mini VSL template. And so there's actually 2 things that we've developed that can help you guys along this process. The first thing we're going to show is the template live, so you can see how it works with the inputs. And I've also developed a recipe designed to help you with the brainstorming process too. So you can tap into Jasper for brainstorming these different variables as well. And Austin, I've shared that link with you in our chat if that's something you're able to link with people. But maybe if you want to just like share kind of an example on your screen, Austin. I mean, I think either way, we were going to use the green powder example to show it.
Sweet. Well, y'all ready to see the mini VSL template in action?
Definitely.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's do it. This is going to be awesome.
See if you can spot the attention frames. They're there.
All right. Seems like Demio says my screen share failed. Darby.
I can pop mine open. It's fine. Start sharing the screen. Let's see. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
All right. Cool. Austin, are you there?
I'm here. Yeah, go ahead and share your screen. Unfortunately, I don't know why I'm not able to share mine.
Cool. No worries. I just want to make sure that, again, that everyone can see my screen.
No, we saw it for a second.
Verbal confirmation.
Go ahead and get it back up.
Interesting. Okay, 1 second. Give me a second. Here, share. Now?
Yes.
Yep, looks great.
Perfect. All right, cool. So what you guys are going to see here on the left is the series of the inputs giving into Jasper. These are all the variables that are going to be playing a factor in generating these this VSL. So I think Austin, using you as an example, we've got some pre-filled kind of like getting your Kickstarter examples right here. But let's just walk down from kind of the top to bottom. Like In your
Absolutely.
words,
So,
how would you say this?
for this example, we're going to use my fiance's business. It's a matcha company called Shade. And I thought of, this is going to be a good example because it's relatable to everybody. There's a lot of caffeine drinkers in the world, and it's something that we can easily use. Of course, this can be used for selling consulting services. It can be used for software. It can be used for all sorts of things. All right, but let's roll into it. So Darby, I'm going to go ahead and give you, I'll read out loud the form fields here, and we'll just create one from scratch. And along the way, Jon, if you have advice on how I can do better to make this, and you can do a little pushback here, then we can get going. And I think that would be a good learning lesson. All right, so let's go ahead with first name Paige.
All right.
And company name is Shade Matcha.
Got it.
The ideal buyer audience is people who drink coffee or energy drinks. Just for sake of time, I'm going to give you just a couple key benefits and features, but you can give Jasper a lot of context here. That's why it's 1,000 characters or 800 characters there. Lasting energy, focus, skin clarity, anti-aging properties, improved mood, energy without crash and jitters, and full of antioxidants. All right, so with Jasper, you don't have to say like really well put together sentences. It can just be quick bullet points, right?
Can I run something here, guys?
What current pain?
Something real quick. So let's talk about branding, even the avatar. Now, we didn't talk about that, even though that's in my course, branding your avatar. So people who drink coffee or energy drinks. So a couple of things that we like to do is create a branded avatar because it makes it more fun. You can leave that in there, but I don't know if Jasper can do this. If you put comma and then put something like, let's do with something really simple, just copy lovers, just one word. Or so we've got copy lovers or bean fanatics, so think of a term like, how would you decide, bean fanatics, right? A fun way to say this, that's even, copy lovers is very straightforward, but making it one word is creating a slightly different brand. So I'm just making, if you make copy lovers one word and just like, that creates a different feel to it than just saying people who like to drink coffee, because then you're going to start appealing to, and think about, how many things could you say, like, that would play around with it. So bean fanatics, that's, I would use two words, but that's getting nitpicky, but you get the idea. So that's just a way that you can brand something. I was doing that very quickly, but very cool. Then you could be the only person going, hey, bean fanatic, what's going on? Because then you start getting that, you know what I'm saying? You're speaking the ideal buyer language. So
that's fun. I like that. Okay, cool. And yes, I did mention a lot of benefits there. And I guess I could put things like features such as it's organic, shade grown from Japan, an old 400-year-old farm, like all of these other like features about her product specifically. And then, okay, current pain or negative circumstance the customer is facing right now. So there's a slew of them. I'm going to totally roast on some coffee and energy drinks here.
No pun intended.
But okay, so let's go with gut issues, anxiety, midday crashes, jitters, and sleepless nights.
Okay, so check this out. We could make this, again, this is the second part of the 9-part frame. You can make this frame so much stronger and cooler if you said all those things have one thing in common. Okay, and I can tell you what it is from my background's in science. So, it's all those things have all gut issues, and even that's indirectly. So this is what's really interesting. You could come up with something called the cortisol, the something related to cortisol. So coffee spikes cortisol, and green tea usually doesn't. So, but all these things are called, and then she could call it. I call it the cortisol blank. What's negative? The cortisol dilemma. It could be anything. So I call it solve the cortisol spike. or that's actually an actual technical term. So I'm having to do this off the top of my head, but solve the cortisol crush or this cortisol curse. It's even better. So I'm just going through my training in my head and going, well, what word am I looking for? So cortisol curse. I'm curious to see what Jasper will do with this, because then she can say, I call this the cortisol curse, and this product was designed to cure the cortisol curse. Well, we got a whole different league of marketing here. And that's and then you define it as this is gut issues, anxiety, blah, blah. You see how I'm putting all that into one thing?
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. It's like under the umbrella. I like that. It's very good. I can see why you're a professional in this.
Thank you. Done it a few times.
Cool. So what's a true negative or scary fact? And, finding this does require your own research. But, what I have here is 65% of people feel anxiety after consuming energy drinks. There's obviously a lot of research that you'd have to go out and find this, or, something around cortisol, right?
Exactly.
So there you go. Okay. So now what is the big idea in 2 to 3 words? What's like a hook that makes your product different? And as Jon had pointed out, this is not the time to mention your product yet. This is often a branded. So think about even putting quotes around this as something that you can call that, makes your product different, such as muscle confusion.
Plant-based productivity. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So plant-based productivity is something
the boys are listening.
I came up with, but it doesn't come out. I don't think anything will come out if you Google that, but it is brandable, which is cool. And it, pulls together some of the benefits here.
And if I can say this real quick, Austin, if you guys are going, well, how are you, coming up with these brands? How does this? How do you do this? Again, I'm going to show you something later on that solves that problem for you. So it's pretty cool.
Okay. Sweet. For social proof, just, ethically and accurately put your number of customers. Let's just put 10,000 here. All right. Here's a question from the audience. What happens if you don't have social proof? If you're a business just getting going, Jon, how would you approach that?
So you can approach this from a clever way. It's like I've shared, like I would say something like the copywriter in me is going to come out, because it's like saying sick 'em to a Rottweiler. But I would say, like, look, I haven't shared this with anyone but my immediate family and friends yet, because I had to make sure it was perfectly tested and honed. It's finally ready for the public.
I love that. That's really well said. And it's actually very accurate to page. So,
but you turn your benefits into turn your curses into benefits. So
I love it. All right. Now, when we talk about our niche here, it's a more narrow focus of your audience. How would you describe this, Jon? People might get stuck here when they think about their niche. It's one of the most commonly asked questions when it comes to starting a business.
So I have a question, and we use this in CopyPro as well, and this helps people in CopyPro. Is when it comes to blank, some people consider me an expert, and what is that blank? So, and you fill that with 1 to 4 words tops. So you limit it by words. So for me, it's when it comes to weight loss, when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to copywriting, when it comes to music or whatever. So that's the niche. The niche is really big, and it's kind of boring, to be honest with you, but it's important to say, because if you've struggled with weight loss, if you've struggled with, mastering the base, if you've struggled with whatever the case may be, that's really your niche, right? And that's the niche for coffee is interesting, because it's hard to define, right? So but here's what's interesting. Do the niche based on not the product, but on the benefits. So the benefits of this is more energy, cleaner thinking, cleaner running fuel. So when it comes down to natural energy, that's what I would call the niche. This is natural energy. Yeah. So
okay,
that's what I would
like
say.
that. Yeah. And, that can encompass her other products too. They all have to do with natural energy. So that's great. Now, what is a customer's initial goal? This is the very first thing that they receive from using, consuming, getting involved with your product. For matcha, that would be lasting energy from a healthy source. It could be that they don't also get anxiety from that. Like their goal is to like have energy without,
reduce anxiety,
jitters or a crash or all that.
Reduce anxiety. Yeah, that's good.
The next level is the ultimate goal. As John had mentioned earlier, that maybe your wife wants to go to Hawaii. That's the initial goal. The ultimate goal is to get quality time with a loved one. And so, for Matcha here, it's, potentially they want to be productive at work, or they want to have the energy to play with their kids in the middle of the day. They want to remove, they want to have clarity to make better decisions. They want to show up as a leader in a meeting. But yeah, this is the ultimate life result that happens because of the initial goal. Now, how is your product delivered? John, you maybe want to touch on this, because there's a lot of ways. Again, the Mini-VSL is for social. It brings them to a landing page or wherever your offering exists. So how would you describe how a product could be?
So a couple of things she could say, you download our free, matcha recipe guide or whatever. So download my top 5 favorite drinks. So it could be something like that, like a free recipe guide. If she's delivering the actual tea itself, then I like what you said, tea powder would be it. But yeah, you want to think like, I call this the medium. So if the medium is a free recipe guide or a free cheat sheet, or or $7 entry level course or whatever. But I like the recipe guide, because again, the idea is to collect the leads, and we know. Well, I mean, see, I know this because I happen to. Not necessarily a tea, but I've written a ton in nutrition space. So, because I am a nutritionist, so I know I've already done my avatar research. So I can tell you right now what you may not know, but I do know. And you would know if you went through my avatar's diary research stuff. So, because you would know you would know the exact words they use. Okay. So it's not just, they don't just want tea. They love recipes. In fact, I had a friend of mine that upsold 9 different upsells. I mean, I've never seen 9 upsells ever in my life. All 9 of them were just more recipes. And he just sold the crap out of them. It was unbelievable. So knowing our niche, knowing that this is something that people are going to love the drink recipe guys, love it. So include that, boom, your clicks are going to go up. But that again that's not marketing. That's avatar research. That's just knowing your avatar.
Interesting. I love that. And this could be to generate leads, like a download of a free white paper, or it could be, a free training. So if you're doing high ticket coaching, or if you have an upcoming event, it could be like a prequel to that service. The point is that you're capturing qualified attention to then follow up with and get them into your ecosystem. So that's what this Mini-VSL is. John, after this, they might want to even go to a main big VSL. Is that how you would use these in interaction with each other?
And the other thing is, when you go from a Mini-VSL that's run as, say, a Facebook ad or YouTube ad, when they click on it, you know that the medium is already of interest to them. So it's not going to surprise them when they hear the same voice and the same look and the same fonts and the same stylistically delivered. So we call that we call that landing page congruity, and that's why long form VSLs are super important. So these things really work for they do work for sales pages. Don't freak out like, I don't have a long form sales page, but they work even better for if you have a little VSL on top of your sales page.
Sweet. Well, we're almost done here. Ceremonial Green Tea Matcha is the name of her product. The price point is $50. And tone of voice, guys, this is one of the most drastic ways to adapt how Jasper writes. I'm going to write here: natural, organic, excited, informative. You can include a couple. But it could also be like a tone of voice of Jerry Seinfeld, right? Like it knows how to do impersonation here. Yeah. So this is fun here, right? Figure out whatever your tone of voice is. If there's another brand out there that you respect, or that you feel like you relate with, then you could also put that here as well. That's a fun way to use tone of voice. Yes, we have language options, but today we're going to go for English. It does work in over 25 languages. All right, let's generate 3 options.
You got it.
And so what Jasper's doing right now is reading Jon's highest converting examples that have actually generated multiple millions of dollars. It's then applying that pattern and framework with some rules attached to that framework here to the information we've given it. Now there's a bit of, you would take this content here and you would put it into slides, but this is the raw script. And let's see, I want to roll through a couple of these. And by the way, please use the thumbs up or thumbs down on the right-hand side to adapt the model, because we're always improving the model based on user feedback. So if something looks really good, that helps Jasper understand that's a good behavior. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. Okay.
But see, now look how well this did. I mean, so you've got, like, in the second one, if you can scroll up a little bit, she's in, I think it's the second one where actually put in quotations, which is great, plant-based productivity. So that is the primary solution that she's got. That's the one big solution. And she's also got the one big problem, which is the cortisol curse. It's called the cortisol curse, and 65%. So that's fantastic. Now check this out. Build up our stress hormones in your body. It just put this together very, very well. But that really stands out. So that makes this whole thing stand out. It makes it work. And that's why these little tweaks make all the difference.
Hey, Darby, click on the Open in Documents button. So from here, we'd be able to go in and do any of the edits. How about you starting with the a way to enjoy lasting energy, focus, productivity without the jitters? See that in the second line?
Yep.
Okay, so highlight that sentence. A way to, and then go all the way through down to where the period is at the end. It's pretty long. So let's go ahead and rephrase that. Let's see if we can make it better. Okay. It's interesting. You know what? I'm not going to accept that one. Decline that. And let's do explain it to a 5th grader. Because we know, and Jon can, keep to this, if you can write copy at a 5th grade reading level, it'll resonate and be simplified, and it converts higher. Statistically proven to convert higher.
Yeah, that's a much better way.
Do you want to do just this first sentence? Because it's taking in the second sentence as well.
Yeah, that's great. I think that this is a more concise version, okay? I love that. And now from here, there's, what I would do, and maybe Jon, you can explain how you would take it further, is kind of chop it up into a more reading style, because we don't read well in paragraphs. And maybe even the way that you would apply this to a slide deck, would be very different. And I think there's a lot of strategy to the way that you put slides in order and how many words you put on a page.
So I don't like to use more than 15 words on a slide. So it's perfectly fine to use 1 word on a slide. If it's a command term, and I know these phrases might not be common knowledge, but in the course I'm about to show you, you can know what these are using NLP command terms like now, remember, listen, look. You can put those on one slide and should. The slides need to be very brief. So take the shade matcha as a ceremonial green tea powder that can give you and then return after give you. And I'll tell you why I did that. And don't worry about the capitals or any of that stuff. So and productivity now ... and this is something that, again, AI now return without. So now look how much easier.
Let's go into focus mode, by the way, Darby.
How much easier that is to read. So I would actually, that you could actually do that, give you lasting energy rather than, I'm sorry, I told you the wrong place, but say give you lasting energy and take out the give you there. But that is so much stronger because now we're reading things in chunks. You see shade matcha is ceremonial, what it is, but the next, within less than 2 seconds, give you lasting energy, focus, and productivity without jitters, anxiety, or crash later on. So your brain is able to chunk that very, very quickly. In a paragraph, it gets lost. And this is why we do this in sales pages, let alone VSLs. So emails all the time, something to look into for your conversions, for sure.
I love this. Hey, Darby, could you go into focus mode here? And so what we could do as well is we could do things like, as you've seen, simplify it to a 5th grader, rewrite it. We could do content improver if you want to make it, said differently. As you can see, the native integration and partnership with Grammarly is in here. So it's, maybe helping with spelling and grammar and all of that. If we were going to publish this, we could even use our integration with Copyscape to cite any sources for plagiarism, which 99% of the time, Jasper writes plagiarism free. But if this was to, be used and repurposed in other ways, you could do that.
Yep.
So there's a lot of features here in boss mode. And, I think a lot of people, if they were just using this for the first time, they want to concoct a whole bunch of different ways because they're not always going to have Jon Benson here with them by their side, helping them. So Darby, I would also like to hand it over you now and show how they can use the AI author recipe to brainstorm new ideas. And so I'm going to share this on the screen now. This is a free gift from Darby. It is how to brainstorm a recipe. And what this means is, actually, Darby, why don't you go ahead and explain how this works?
Sure. So this was purely generated from the inputs we were putting inside of the template that you guys have. It's inside of your Jasper account. Now, this recipe is what Austin is sharing with you right now. I put about like a 5-6 minute tutorial overview of this recipe, but this is designed to help you brainstorm the different variables inside of that you could use to do some like market research and what are some ways and some pain points that my audience is maybe experiencing. And that's what this recipe is all about. So I've opened up one here and I've kind of already have like a very basic content brief based around that recipe. What we can also do, since we've already generated that template, is you can generate a new content brief with a simple command like create a content brief based on the content above. Command Shift Enter. And let's see what Jasper is giving us right here. It's giving us, basically, we've already done some of the work beforehand. So I'm just going to go ahead and take some of the information that we've got from this recipe and add it into this one I was already building up. So I'm saying this is basically, if you were coming into this fresh and say you just wanted to brainstorm, you have some basic idea about what your product is, I'm filling this out with the simple contexts of the what, where, why, who, when, and how that your product is going to, or your offer, whatever you're doing, is going to be solving. So offer for a clean energy drink in the form of green matcha tea from Shade Matcha helps. I just used an example of, woman under 40 having that want lasting energy. It's $50 for a daily powder, and a little bit of information on the website. And so the real power in this recipe specifically isn't necessarily that it's going to write like a full-blown sales page or a full-blown VSL for you necessarily, but it's going to give you the commands and a jumping off point as you scroll down with this recipe that might help spark some idea for, okay, this might be a good way to approach something in my, and see, this is completely like, I had never even thought about some of these words before. What is a negative fact? I didn't know that maybe matcha could contain lead, or maybe there's other.
That's a good example, right? Because so for example, page, she chose a ceremonial grade organic matcha that has a no lead certificate. And so maybe that's a differentiator, right? Like it knew that, it's well researched. And Jon was saying earlier how Jasper is like one of the best tools for researching for professional copywriters.
Sure. And this is an interesting highlight here, guys, is that this was a prompt that Jasper just gave itself because it recognizes that we're doing this sort of research. And so Jasper literally asked, how does this product combat the negative fact that might be associated with this? And it called out that there's a certification around that. And so as we're using this recipe, like this is research at lightning fast speeds. We're brainstorming different ways that the benefits and the features helps with bad gut health, certified clean and independent lab. So you can see how like these are all variable, like different inputs, right? That we can go back into the template and modify things or say, oh, I never would have thought that, maybe like this is a big issue that like other matchas or other energy drinks can cause, neurological damage, anemia, other serious health problems. And so like, again, we've already kind of covered, again, more of like the big idea. This is really something that like, I think you need to, and I want to, chime in a little more here, Jon, on the big idea portion of this is I haven't found a good way to get Jasper to give me like a really awesome hook necessarily. Like sometimes they can help with idea, but clean energy matcha, it's taking this pretty much from what I've already given it over here.
We've seen this throughout the board. It's why the hook training inside of what we're about to cover is so important for people, because it will teach you. There is a method to doing this. There's a method that's it's really kind of crazy. It's involving about 4 or 5 different websites and a way that your brain can think if you know how to trick it, and it comes up with some pretty cool. I've developed, I don't know, dozens of hooks using the system, so I'll tell you about it in a sec.
And so the last 3 commands that I want to highlight before I pass it on back over to you, Jon, is the last 3 on this recipe are I found that they've worked very well for a bunch of the different, types of products we've been testing this recipe and template out with, is like, what are the pain points they experience, right? Top 10 pain points, like right out the gate. These are all things that we can include inside of our VSL, and you can target, right, your messaging inside of your VSL around each one of these very specifically. And if you say, oh, I like that there's 10, but I want to get 20, you can just change this number right here and go back down here to the bottom. And now Jasper is going to know that we want to go all the way up to 20, right? Pretty cool little hack you can use with commands to brainstorm, night sweats, hot flashes, right? Like what are people experiencing, like anxiety, fatigue? Like, again, what are some negatives that avatar, right? It contains lead, exposure, pulling some of this information from above. And then, top number of, let's just use 10 for an easy number here, of the primary benefits, 2 to 3 words max, more energy, no midday crash, no jitters, let's keep them coming, Jasper. I'm gonna give me 20 more or 10 more, low calories, caffeine for focus, gluten-free, and Jasper does the mic drop. You go and take this content, you plug it into your template over there.
Wow.
And you are, you've got a lot of different ideas that you can drop in to make this VSL sing.
That's awesome. So as we continue on into the training, now you have your script. And so, Jon, I know quickly we have not much more time with you. What would you do with that script once you have it?
So once you have the script, if you're talking about the Mini-VSL script, there's several different things that you can do to make that script much more user friendly. So shall we say? So the easiest thing to do is for me is to go to Easy VSL. So Easy VSL is and I don't make any money for saying this. I know Mark, and he and I are partners with we trade each other back and forth, but we don't do affiliate links. So so Easy VSL doesn't do any copywriting. It just formats a VSL for you. You can also do it yourself in Keynote. I usually take that approach myself. And then it comes to the voiceover. You can go to Fiverr and hire a voiceover for 20, 30, $50 tops, or you can do it yourself. And if you know how to do it yourself, there's inside my course, there's a voiceover little mini course on how to do voices. I've done all the voices for my stuff myself, except for a few exceptions. But don't let that hold you back, because you can produce this in a matter of days for under $100 usually for a mini VSL, and then just have it done completely on Fiverr. That's another way to do it. So producing this stuff should not be the thing that holds you back, because it's actually the words. I mean, we keep coming back to this over and over and over again. It's not the prettiness of the VSL. It's not the fancy graphics. It isn't. It's seriously the words. And so we've proven this with Agora, for example. They're $1 billion marketing company, and they don't have any images on their stuff at all. So it's just words on a page, and they've sold over $1 billion for this stuff. So it's the words that you need. And if you get the words, and we saw like the start of stuff thing with Jasper doing incredible, like here's all the benefits right here. And once you learn how to phrase those benefits in the way that your customer speaks, this separates you from everybody else. Because if you do that, and there's a way to do that, I'm going to talk about it here in a second, that changes the course for everything. And that just is going to make Jasper even smarter. But all that, so much of the heavy lifting is done for you with this research. So this is great, but it's important to learn to take that to the next step. So I can talk about that.
What are some quick important things to make sure that the end result of a mini VSL, which by the way is not the one thing that you put on the landing page, it's what you put on the traffic channels to capture attention and bring them to a landing page. So what are some important details that you don't want these people to miss?
Well, first of all, I mean, the most important detail is to follow the formula. So follow the formula is in Jasper, and Jasper's taking very little liberties with it. That's very important. The second thing is, don't forget that VSLs are designed to be, one of the reasons they work, Ryan Dice mentioned this about my VSLs, is they have a hypnotic effect. So the slides are going by relatively fast. So you don't want to have like 30 words on a slide because you're trying to conserve slides. Oh, I don't want my VSL to be more than 10 slides. There's no reason. It could be 100 slides and it'd be the same amount of time. So think in terms of pace. You want your pace up. You want your energy high. And you want the fonts big and easy to read. Don't try to do a pretty font or a pretty background. Most of the time, just white background or black background works really, really well. So those are just 3 quick hints. Oh, one last hint, and this is a big one: compression. Now, compression used to be a lot different than it is right now. You can upload to YouTube and use YouTube's free player. YouTube compresses the heck out of video, so you're pretty safe there. But just make sure even a mini VSL is compressed as much as it can be compressed, because that way it plays like that on any device. And yeah, there's a lot of other tips I can give, but
yeah. I know one thing that we mentioned off in the backstage was that the words should be on the screen, like the voice, like if there's, for example, stock imagery or video imagery or even talking head, like you need to have the actual words burned on the screen.
Always. In fact, if you remember how I showed Perry's VSL has the words literally with there's a tool he's using. I don't even know what it is, but it's cool. We were talking about it the other day where the words like actually bubble and go one word at a time. That is extreme, but that is very cool. And I've seen more people starting to go to that. But yeah, that's the importance of having every word on the screen. That's something that so few people, they get a little lazy. They don't want to do it. But let me tell you, it makes all the difference, because people are seeing that without sound. So if they read your first 7 seconds being absolutely critical, if your first 7 seconds is, so-and-so T is grown in then you're lost. Notice how that wasn't how the formula was written. Therefore, it didn't write it that way. It started writing with, do you want this? Are you interested in this? Have you heard about this? Inquisitive based writing, right? Get that first 7 seconds so that you command that attention. But the words on the screen is vital.
I love it. Yeah, it's great. It's like when we were kids watching the yellow bouncing ball.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, the floor is yours. Stick around with us here for the next like 20 to 30 minutes, because the mini VSL helps you get people to the page. But now, how do you continue capturing that attention? How do you convert those qualified leads and visitors into buyers? Unfortunately, Jasper is not yet trained to write long form video sales letters that can be, tens of minutes of long. So, maybe one day we'll get there, but it does require a lot more strategy, training, thought process. That's a little bit more manual. So yes, we got you up and going within literally like 5 minutes. Now you can generate a mini VSL with Jasper. But that is the beginning of the iceberg. And Jon's going to help us understand what we do with our attention now that we've grabbed it with this mini VSL, how do we convert those into sales? So the floor is yours, Jon.
Thank you, Austin. I'm going to share my screen here and let me know when you can see the presentation again.
Okay. Yep.
All right, we in. So we've talked a lot about VSLs. We've talked a lot about attention frames. We talked a lot about persuasion. Now let's talk about you. And probably your favorite topic, right? Okay. Well, before we talk about you, I'm actually going to talk about me. Not to brag, but this is my life's work. And this is really all about you, what I'm about to say. It just happens to be framed in a different way. My life's work is all about copywriting and creating and teaching sales tactics to companies all over the world. This is what I do. This is all I do. And there's only so much that I can fit in an hour or an hour and a half or so of training online. And I hope that's obvious to you. And let me know right now in the chat, did you get a lot from this? I mean, we covered a lot in less than an hour. We're about to cover more in the next 20 minutes. I hope that you've got a lot out of this training. Yes, I'm sure we're getting a lot of yeses, but let me ask you this. I want to talk about your immediate needs. Now, you know about immediate needs because it's one of the frameworks, right? Clearly, you know how vital it is to have a VSL ASAP, either a mini VSL to capture leads or a long form VSL to capture sales. I think we're all interested in capturing sales, or at least apply this framework to whatever existing medium that you have. You know, like I said, webinar, sales page, phone scripts, emails. Video marketing, however, simply isn't an option today. You know, even if you have a text-based sales page, you still need video because you're missing out on sales from people who would respond to the video medium, which took a massive, massive spike up in 2020, and we all know why. Video marketing exploded. In my experience, the vast majority of people still respond very well to video marketing, and you need more training than I can possibly deliver in an hour or 90 minutes to show you exactly how to build out an attention framework. Look, I know you learned a lot so far. That's great. I'm sure your comments reflect that. You'll be able to immediately apply some of what you learned today without a doubt, because that's the kind of training we all wanted to deliver to you. But there is a lot of the now framework, the now psychology that simply demands a lot more attention, pardon the pun. There's so much here that you will probably miss it if you try this on your own. And when you consider the fact that top marketers around hire me for $5,000 an hour, not to brag, but that's my going rate, and $30,000 a day to teach this to them, and they're making millions often from their VSLs, it only makes sense that for you to make an investment in your own business and future today. Is that reasonable? Yeah? Okay. There's a way for you to get the same value, however, as the A-list pros that pay me a lot more money, $30K to $100,000 to write a VSL, that kind of stuff, without those sizable investments. And this is why I created, and I'm about to teach live, the Attention Framework Masterclass. In fact, we are all inviting you live to the upcoming first ever Attention Framework Masterclass taught live so you can interact with us. Now, this features the most in-depth application of how to leverage the now principle that we just covered to increase sales, conversions, leads to any VSL, webinar, or sales page, plus includes live training inside Jasper from the AI author team. And it doesn't get more hands-on because we're there to answer your questions. So first, I'm going to teach you live my step-by-step by-the-hand framework for creating high-converting VSLs and sales copy, plus give you video training that walks you by the hand through every single step and every single slide. Because bear in mind, that does not exist yet in Jasper. They're working on it. I'm sure it's going to exist one day. But we have this now in a way that you can start right now. So you can not only help yourself increase your take-home revenue, you can skyrocket conversions as well. You can do this in around 21 days if you work fairly diligently at it, even if you're starting from the very beginning. Just remember something for me. The Attention Framework framework is not online yet. It's being offered to you as a special deal between myself, AI author, and Jasper. We agreed on this ahead of time, and we're going to give it to you at a massive discount because you're simply part of the very first web class. So this isn't something you download right now. This is something that you're going to secure a spot because it will sell out incredibly fast. So check this out. The classes will be hosted by myself and the team at AI Author August 16th to the 18th. and August 23rd to the 25th. That's 6 days with us of live coaching, around 2 hours a session. Now, if you can't attend all of them, that's okay. We're going to record these and you're going to get the private recordings. So rest easy. You can attend no matter what. I just want to ask you a favor. Say yes right now in the chat. If you fully realize that this is not a pre-recording, that you're not buying some videos that you're going to watch and maybe never watch, you're going to get to attend this live with me and the AI author for the first time. You are literally on ground zero. Now I'm going to drip out some of the big bonuses you're about to see and all that between the first class, because I'm a nice guy, and you're going to get the access to the best VSL psychology training out there today for long form and medium form VSLs live today right here. So securing your spot does more than save you a lot of money. It's going to get you some stuff. But do you understand that? Say yes in the chat, and do me a favor, Austin, can you let me know how many people are saying yes right now in the chat? Because I'd love to know.
Too many to count.
Okay, too many to count. Well, here's what I want to give you today. When you receive live inside this masterclass, you're going to get, first of all, the avatar's diary. Now, this is the best thing, or the next best thing, to mind reading your ideal buyer. Now, this is nothing short of psychological reconnaissance to discover how your ideal buyer is phrasing those problems that Jasper just showed you. He said, hey, what are the top 10 problems or 20 problems that you're facing? But how are they saying them? What if I showed you a place you could find out where they're saying them? I call this process the avatar's diary because it's as if you were ethically borrowing somebody's diary, specifically someone you want to sell to, specifically talking about the problems that you were talking about, their hopes, dreams, desires, all of it related to the problem that your product or solution or offer solves. Check this out. 100% ethical. In no way is this illegal. In no way is this breaching privacy. Would never do that. But it will feel as if you are spying on people, and people will feel as if they have known you all their lives. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. You know, he repeats the same day over and over again, each time learning more stuff, right? Well, you may not win a life partner here, but your customers will have a similar feeling. Like, I've heard this before. It's because they've said it. And I'm going to tell you where you can find their words, substitute their words in the script, and boom, watch what happens because you're speaking their buying language. Next up, I'm going to give you my patented hook system. Now, you remember the word in stands for notice. And the first 90 seconds of your VSL, super important, right? Well, the key to that 90 seconds, the first 7 seconds and the 90 seconds that follows it, is more than clever copy. You saw us do this right now. It's about the ability to create a hook, a big idea. Now, without a hook that sinks in all the way, you can't secure the attention for your customer long enough to secure the sale nearly as effectively as when you do have one. The hook system solves this problem without asking you to be super creative. I know that sounds crazy, but I've put 20 people through this already that were not copywriters, and every single one of them were able to develop a hook within a matter of days using the system. So hooks for them, more sales, used in their emails, used throughout all of their marketing, and not just any hook. These are hooks created around the attention frame hook, or the attention framework. So once you do one part of the now training, you can add this to every other thing that you do. Every other thing that you do. The hook system is going to absolutely separate you from everyone else that's marketing in your niche. Of course, you're going to get the attention framework insider training that we're doing live. You're going to get a full deep dive into these 9 questions, exactly how to do every one of the 9. There's no way I could teach that today. Another thing is having me train you virtually step by step is that you can ask me questions about this as we go along. And then, of course, you can use all 9 of these inside your VSL. Now, that's not all. I'm going to show you the 5 highest converting pattern interrupts and how to quickly and inexpensively create and test them. Remember, that's the very first 7 seconds of your VSL, the pattern interrupt that grabs the attention and sets the framework for commanding attention. I'm going to show you what I call the VSL in disguise. Now, simply changing how you present your VSL can increase sales and conversions almost overnight. So for example, this is a webinar style VSL. It's really not a webinar. There's big differences, and I'll show you these subtle differences inside this training. But also, this is great for companies that don't want to have the words on a screen kind of look. They want to have something a little bit more branded. You can do that again with the VSL in disguise. I'm going to show you subtle ways of speaking with your ideal buyer rather than at them, creating a deep state of rapport without being too salesy, which often leads to your prospect saying yes long before they even get to their offer. They're nodding their head yes. They've already decided to buy for you super fast when you use this technique. This is vital if you are a company, if you have a branded images, because most large companies speak at people, at buyers. The language and the correspondence, their emails, their articles, their video tutorials, you must use with you language, not at you language. It makes all the difference. Where to use your hook and how to position it as the one answer to your prospect's problem. This may be the most valuable part of the training, as the psychological and ethical separation it's going to create for you is just beyond imagination. How to position your ideal buyer's wants and needs in a way that guides them into a rapid buying decision. Now, we're not talking about people that buy things off the cuff and regret it later. It just gets them to a more rapid state of psychologically saying yes to something that they already know they need, because you are not going to be convincing anyone of anything. You are going to learn the art of compelling, how to compel with language to just simply have somebody see that this is the only logical solution. And we're going to do that with plenty of emotion at the same time. If you have a dog, have you ever tried to give your dog medicine? You put it in peanut butter, right? It's the medicine is the logic, the peanut butter is the emotion. Think of it that way. Super important to understand. Creating the perfect call to action, how to nail your price point. We talked a little bit about that earlier. Most people that I coach with are actually undercharging for their products. They're not overcharging. So we're going to put an end to that, helping you make more money right out of the gate, because you might be undercharging. And if you do have your price point right, well, that's great. We'll talk about how ways you can increase your calls to action, your pitch, if you will. How many people click that link and stay on your sales page and checkout page, and so much more. And you're also going to get, ready for this, the 5-step VSL formula training. You're going to take your attention framework and you're going to use it for your VSL. But to do that, you need to know what your slides of the VSL are going to say, right? You kind of got to know that. Well, when I created this original training, it still is considered the gold standard training for VSLs. It was a slide by slide, every word of copy on every slide kind of training. And that's what I'm the most proud of. Now, you're going to get access to this today, along with the software that creates it for you. Every slide of a long form VSL, that all you have to do is fill in the blanks, written originally too. However, there's a stipulation to that bonus. There's a stipulation I'm going to cover in just a moment, so bear with me. Again, every slide written using my copy, over 27 different video sales letters that we know work, and the $1 billion swipe file. That's really what it is. It's like a $1 billion swipe file. Now, the industry has never seen this training this detailed, down to every single slide. I just wouldn't have it any other way, because I have to show you this slide to get you to this slide to get you to this slide. And that's why, by the way, I'm also including this newest version of the 5-step VSL formula training, which comes with much more refined copy inside the software that's actually much more compliant with Facebook and other social media platforms. And that's why I'm confident to say you can see results in just 21 days. Now, you can do it faster than that if you want to. If you got an itchy speed and trigger finger, go for it. I understand that. But 21 days is a reasonable, measured way, measured goal to start seeing better results, which means more sales. Can mean more sales, it can mean more leads, it can mean more conversions. Now, if you desire to expand your list with leads that are far more likely to buy from you because you're speaking their buying language, okay? And if you want to VSL or any form of web medium that delivers constant, predictable sales with more revenue and leads, and if you want to position yourself as the modest expert in your industry, or your company as the go-to company without sounding too flashy, if you crave a tribe of dedicated followers. Man, does Jasper ever have a tribe, right? I love tribes, fans rather than just customers, people that will spread the word for you. Austin will tell you he's built a tribe, so they're building lots of word of mouth. I want to help you do that. There's ways you can do that with words. Desire predictability in your business and income like we all do, then this is definitely for you. Like, even if you're a veteran marketer, this is going to work for you. I'll give you an example. Ben here said my first ever VSL. He'd never done one despite being in marketing for a long time. And he 14x'd his traffic spin in 2 days. Now that's an extreme, that's extreme, but that's what's possible when you start using these frameworks. Josh Pelliser said he took a weekend, created his VSL. He launched a $15 million business was sleeping on the couch before then. I know Josh personally, so I know that to be true. Perry Marshall, one of my heroes in marketing, he is one of the absolute gurus of Google ads and just a brilliant guy. Said he never sits down to watch training, but he couldn't stop watching mine. Very honored that he would say that. Justin Burns, one of the best product marketers out there. He used my framework and scripting, created a webinar with it, beat the control by $800,000. Now I could keep going, but I think you understand because I'm on with the guys from Jasper and AI Author that I am who I say I am and I deliver. So what's the investment? Well, let me tell you what the retail price is currently set. It's $49.99. Now that is a drop in the bucket compared to what I charge for doing this stuff personally. That's less than I charge an hour, just to give you a frame of reference. The hook system alone, remember I shared it with 20 people, $2,500 a piece. Okay. And that's just one of the lessons that you're getting inside the entire masterclass. Now VSL is $14.97. So you start adding this up, right? And again, I'm $30,000 a day and $5,000 an hour. But this is like hiring me for more than a full day. So in my opinion, this is actually better. And I'm trying to diss my own full day coaching because I'm pretty darn good at it. But this is better because I'm going to get you the same kind of value working with you live, teaching this class over 6 days. And now you're going to get to do this complete with AI Author. So you can see the demos, how to use my custom recipes inside Jasper, even get training with the AI Author team. Like I said, every T is crossed, every I is dotted. And that's why we took the retail price. One installment of $19.97 was our first deal that we made. And we said, okay, let's do this for $2K. It's fair. It's going to be almost $5K, so let's do it for $2K. And the guys were talking, they said, well, is there anything better that we can do? I said, listen, man, this is this is getting ridiculously cheap because I can all but guarantee you the first module, when you go through the Avatar's Diary or you go through it's going to blow your mind. That alone will make you far more than the $19.97 ever would. That I can guarantee you. And if that's not true, I'll give you your money back. However, I've agreed on a different price point. We thought that let's do something really spectacular for the fans of AI Author and Jasper users. So knock $500 off of this and give you one installment of just $14.97. Or you can do 6 installments of $333, but you lose out on the bonuses. So that's going to take you full price in $19.97. And you're also going to lose out on a couple of the bonuses. Now, when you go to the page you're about to see, you're going to want to use this VSL code, VSLAI. Sorry, discount code, not VSL code. Discount code. VSLAI is the discount code. It only works with the full pay, but you can see our original $19.97 there. So here's what I want you to do right now. Go to theaiauthor.com/go. Just open a new browser window so you can keep hearing me yap at you and go to theaiauthor.com/go. Bearing in mind, this is not a public URL. This is only found here in this training video with us right now. Choose your installment plan. Now, one installment saves you a ton. Plus, it gives you all the Now VSL stuff today. The Now VSL related training and bonuses. The discount does not give you that. You'll get your login credentials and immediate access to Now VSL today, and you will reserve your seats in the masterclass. As you saw here in Demio, it's the same thing here. They hit their limit on how many people they can let in. Well, it's the same thing here. So this is going to sell out very quickly. You want to reserve your seats right now. Go to theaiauthor.com/go. Just remember to use the discount code VSLAI. So I want to help you expand your list with leads. Far more likely to buy from you because you're speaking their buying language. I want to help you get a VSL that delivers you constant, predictable sales with more revenue and leads. I want to help position you as the modest expert in your industry. Or if you're a company and you have to speak corporate lingo, to learn how to do that in a way that speaks with your potential buyers rather than to your potential buyers. You don't like being spoken to. You like being spoken with. And there's subtle ways you can do that with language. Help you create a tribe of dedicated followers, fans rather than customers, because they love your message and they're going to spread your good name and your good words and your good deeds and your offers for years to come. So you can see predictability in your business and income. And this all starts in 21 days when you go here. The aiauthor.com/go. The VSL, the code you want to use is VSLAI to save $500. That is insane. You will never see this anywhere near that price again. Now this gets better. I got a more sales or else guarantee. So I'm extending this promise to you for a full 30 days. Now I realize the training doesn't start until August, but you're going to start getting stuff today if you pay in full. So I'm still giving you the full 30 days. I'm this confident in this working for you. If you don't sell more revenue from anything you sell using video, webinars, even sales pages in 30 days, just from the bonus content that you get if you pay in full. And after the training, if you're not thrilled with it, you're not thrilled with the faculty I'm about to show you, if you're not thrilled with absolutely everything, you pay nothing. And you can keep the access to the training and the software you get today, no matter what happens. No nonsense, no fine print. You hold all the cards for any reason or no reason whatsoever. If you're not jumping for joy from the increase in sales and quality leads, for any reason in 30 days, I would just refuse to take your money. If I can't help you, I don't want your money. If I can help you make money, great. It's a win, freaking win. theaiauthor.com/go. And yes, this does help the pros. We can talk about these guys all day long. Rich Sheffrin says he took it to make $1 billion testimonial. Evan Pagan, I've shared John's tactics. He's the best at VSL persuasion. Perry Marshall, next level ninja persuasion. 5-minute VSLs. His Mini-VSLs work from Mind Valley. This is Peter Kell from Mind Valley. Helped us build a $70 million business. Joe Barton Publishing. And probably one of my favorite testimonials, Mark Ford, the president of Agora Publishing, who told this to me in a cigar bar, about to show you a picture of it. The VSL made us so much money, I owe Jon Benson at least $100 million. And I said, no, it's more like 300 million, dude. I'll take a check. I take a check because they made them a lot of money. They became $1 billion company out of the VSL. So Ryan Dice has used this, and he, of course, supports this. But also Gary Vaynerchuk, Ryan Lebeck, my friend Joe Polish. I'm teaching this all over the planet, guys. But none of these people have been taught the Attention Framework Masterclass yet. I've only taught it to a handful of people, none of them in this picture, despite these being some of the biggest pros in the marketing world. Like hanging out here with Todd Brown and winning presenter of the, by the way, voted by 50 other marketers as top presenter, presenting one part of the hook system, one part of it. That won me that award. Pretty cool. I'm there with my wife. That's the best part of that picture. Me and Rich have enjoying a cigar in Mark Ford's establishment. Love Mark. He's awesome. It's great art and great taste in cigars. And so we go around the world doing this. And it's not just people that I sell to. These are friends. These are people that we've all helped make each other money. And I want to help you do the same. But the really big news is my client list. 100 times ROI already off this. One of the few guys I learned from John Street. I used to even sell my car, which I think is hilarious. It's true. Eddie sold his car with it. My friend Kurt got $300,000 additional just from his Facebook campaigns. This increased revenue by 50% to this guy's sales. Look at this. Approach to VSL is so incredible. It detailed like no other business, at no other course in helping him make money. And you can get it all at theaiauthor.com/go. Use the discount code. I'll say that right eventually. VSLAI. Now, I'm almost finished here, but I got a couple other things for you. I mentioned this already. Now, VSL software, we will send you the login the moment that you check out, because the masterclass comes with lifetime access to my VSL creation software, Now VSL, which will work beautifully together with Jasper. So Jasper doing some research, Jasper helping you out, you pasting it into, this produces your slides for you. This gives you the structure. That's the exact 5-step VSL that's sold over $14 billion in sales. This is for full pay customers only, however. I do want to stress that. So this is free immediately, and you get it for as long as you need it. Like I said, you could use the software with your Jasper account and slice your VSL creation into hours rather than months. So that's worth the full-time investment right off the bat. But it's going to get even better. $197 value. I'm going to have a video called the Metabolic VSL Dissection, Secrets from a $50 million VSL. Now, I could dissect one of a dozen VSLs, one of 100 really, but I chose this one, Metabolic Factor, and here's why. It's one of the many VSLs I've written. It leveraged all 9 of the Attention Framework components perfectly. Perfectly. It was the standard that I went by. Because some of them I hit 8, some of them I hit 7. This one I hit all 9. Many others I hit all 9. It nailed both the positive and the negative hooks. We talked about that earlier. It spoke directly to the ideal buyer's buying brain. And the result was over $50 million in sales, still going strong after 5 years. Now, I'm just going to show you This is just my royalties for a month. October 2015, $32,285. I could pay a lot more than that to write the VSL, but these kind of checks were coming in from October 15, and this is just what, 2020. Still 14,000. This is commission checks for a month. Now, I'm not showing that to brag. I'm showing that to prove a point. These VSLs, when written right, have sticking power. The VSL hasn't changed. 5 years later, still cranking. Today, I still get checks. It's still going. That's the power of using attention frames. That's pretty amazing. Okay, but it gets even better. The $1 million page layout. I love this. People try to guess what to put on their VSL page. In fact, Austin was asking me, what do you do with this, right? Well, you will never have to guess again with this training, ever. I'll show you the layout that I used for $300 million plus video sales letters. That's both for my own product and for many of my clients. Now, we just took the same standard layout. We just kept using it over and over and over again. And you will not believe how simple this layout is. When you see it, you will say, it's too simple to work. It can't work for me. Maybe you'll want to prettify it a little bit with a corporate brand. But I'm telling you, this layout is a beast, and it takes you less than a day to build. I mean, this removes all your guesswork on what to do with your finished product. And it still gets even better. A $497 value, I want to give to you free $1 million VSL emails, because you're going to need emails to promote your VSL. And I think that you'll want the email promotion and follow-up series that I've used to pull in millions, where all you have to do is fill in the blanks and you're off to the races. These emails have been tested by hundreds of marketers. I mean, we've honed this down to a fine, fine edge. And these include my best money-making email templates for promotion, from opt-in to very last call. These bonuses are like a turnkey VSL business box. They really are. I'm giving to you them for free when you go to the aiauthor.com/go. Be sure to take the full pay option if you want all the bonuses, including the Now VSL stuff. Be sure to use the discount code VSLAI. And I got a couple of more for you before I call this a day. $197 value, $100 million baby simple VSL funnel. I'll show you one of my clients' funnels and the pages they used to go from an ad to a buyer. Okay, this is right from an ad, right to a buyer. So what, John? That's pretty standard, right? But this is so baby simple, and they built $100 million company out of it. It's just unbelievable to see how ridiculously simple, but clever. So many little things in this that made it so clever. All of that from cold traffic, all of that done in under 4 years. Amazing. I'm going to show you all the secrets in this funnel, in this bonus training. And again, only for full pay folks, now faculty and community. I want to give you a source so you can go get your VSL questions and your marketing questions answered by me, my team, my other Now VSL students, my other Now VSL clients, get feedback on your hook, get your first 90 seconds review by other people, your offer, the 3 most critical components of VSL, even optionally. This is optional. That is an optional expense. That you can have your entire VSL review, but now at least you got a place to do it. You can have conversations with us and talk to us and talk to the group, and that's available again to single payers only. This debuts in early August. Now, we've got a list already, a Facebook group already. I'm getting them ready for this because I have to get them caught up with the training first, but several thousand people waiting for it to say hello to you. Basically, that's what I'm saying. But this way, you will never feel alone. You'll always be a few minutes away from help. And then finally, and this is, I got to say thank you so much to the AI author for this, my own VSL recipe stack. So inside, you're going to receive a stack of super hot VSL recipes over time, developed in collaboration with the AI author. You saw one of them today right in front of your eyes. Well, they got more up their sleeve. All you have to do is take what you learn in the Attention Framework Masterclass and enter a few keywords and data points and watch Jasper create your VSL content in seconds. In other words, we're going to take what Jasper does really well, tweak it and refine it, and bam, watch what happens. Sales, conversions, all can increase. So I'm going to do a quick recap of the entire package before I take your questions. You're going to get the avatar's diary training. Remember, that's like reading your avatar's mind. I'm going to show you exactly how to find what they are saying and why they are saying it. You get the hook system so that you can develop a hook and a big idea that can stretch across all of your marketing and absolutely separate yourself from the competition. Of course, the masterclass, insider training with us live for 6 days, the 5-step VSL formula, that's for full pay members only. Every single slide, every single video right down to it, all found in the 5-step formula, which is in Now VSL. So you can create a VSL right now. You can create the framework and get ready for the framework class. Get ready for this, create the script, get ready for the framework class. You get access to the Now faculty and community. You get the metabolic VSL dissection, the $1 million VSL page layout, the $1 million VSL emails, and the $100 million baby simple email formula. And of course, Jon Benson's VSL recipe stack within Jasper. It does not get better than that. That's a retail value of $85.81, and we're knocking that down to one installment of just $14.97. That saves you an additional $885, or you can do 6 installments and pay the full price of $333. You just don't get the Now VSL package with that. So go to theaiauthor.com to get it /go, excuse me, theaiauthor.com/go to get it. And just remember that this is not publicly available. You won't find this on my website. If you go to jonbenson.com, you won't see it. So you're thinking, well, that's suicidal. No, we agreed. I agreed. This is what we're going to do. We want to teach it here first. We're teaching it at a discount. And other than a few other marketers that I've taught this stuff to, that's it. I'm not putting it on my site until after we are done. So this is the only available web class on this, period. And prices are subject to change at any time. In fact, $49.99 is our original price point. This is the best price point you'll ever see without question. And availability is on a first come, first serve basis for the next 48 hours or so. And that'll probably be it. I mean, we've got, I don't know how many hundreds of people watching this right now. So this is going to sell out quickly. I can tell you that. So here's the thing. You want a high converting VSL that you can build a real solid, predictable internet business around. Yes? Yeah, of course, right? And you know this is an insane value, right? Of course. I mean, it's crazy. So take advantage of my offer and the money stacking bonuses I'm giving you now, and rest easy with that guarantee by going to theaiauthor.com/go. I mean, this truly is a no-brainer experience for anyone serious about making sales using video, period. Okay, Darby, we're going to take some questions and answers. I'm sure there are a few, and I'm more than happy to answer them now.
I just got to say, Jon, what an amazing amount of value. I mean, just the fact that you can learn how to create a video sales letter from the Godfather himself that invented it. But when I started seeing some of the bonuses, such as your emails that go out, like those take forever to write. And I don't even know sometimes like what sequence to put them in, because I know there's some strategy about that. That's incredibly valuable. I think that's probably worth the price point itself. Along with the stack of recipes that Darby's giving included as a bonus. This just all comes together very nicely as like a very like concise package. Plus, if I can have my VSL reviewed by community and faculty, then I know like I'm applying what you've taught correctly. So I got to give you a hand, man. This is a really, really great offer.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Austin. And it's just going to be a, I'm sorry, guys, my voice did pretty good, held up pretty well, but we're going to have yeah, dealing with this for weeks, but we're going to have a blast teaching this because it's, you know, I've already taught it to a very small group of guys, and I don't want to say their words that they used because it's definitely not family friendly, but they were blown away, and I think that you will be blown away as well.
Now, there is a free handout that you've included today. I'm going to put it on the screen here for just a few minutes, and then you can get back to the attention framework. But you've given everybody as a free gift for coming today the story selling framework. Yeah. Could you briefly hit on that just so you know, people can opt in for that now?
Yeah, sure can. So if you go to jonbenson.com/story selling gift, that is the URL for that. And you can pick up the story selling formula. And what that's going to help you do, it's just a video training course. Well, it's actually several videos that teaches you how to tell stories in a compelling way. That a story can be something that interests people, but a story can also be something that sells. And there's a way to tell a story that still connects super well with your audience, with the emotional impact that it needs to have, but it's setting up the person ethically, because it's aligning with their core values on making a decision. So the best offers align with your ideal prospect's core values. And that's what the story selling gift is all about. So check that out. You can go get that there.
I love it. And when I think about, like, I'm going to go and apply this, I'm going to try and create a Jasper VSL, the long form one, follow this. So audience, hold me accountable to it. Cause I want to eat our own dog food here. And I would love to get, everybody else that comes on board, to review that as well and see if it touches home. Cause most of the people here are watching our current customers. So they'll know like whether or not it hits home. Now, today, everybody has gotten a bunch of free gifts. Not only does all the Jasper customers have now a new template that you've helped create, which is amazing. And let me know also in the comments if you like this style where we bring in a third party outside of the company expert to train the AI on their expertise versus our team doing it ourselves and kind of like deconstructing. Let me know if you actually like that formula, because this is the very first time we've ever done that. Now, of course, like I'm a marketer, Dave Rogenmoser is a great marketer. Like we all come from marketing, but I thought, if we're going to come out with a VSL formula, like we might as well hit up the inventor himself. And we knocked on the door, John answered. So I think it's pretty cool. It seems like from the comments, like buzzing in right now, that they really love that. So maybe this is a gateway drug into us doing more. Maybe we can get Frank Kern to, do something with us. Maybe we can get Ryan Dice to do something with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I love this. You've also gotten the AI author, Darby's membership company, and Zachariah's. They have come together and created that really amazing recipe. These guys crush it at recipes. So you've gotten that. I'll post it in the show notes. And now John has also given away a free gift here, the story selling framework. So make sure to get all of your free gifts. And then now on the page, I'm also going to put the free handout. Let's see. Okay, so you've gotten the story selling framework. Now on the page is, let's see, the masterclass. All right, sharing that now. There you go. So with that said, now we're opening up for Q&A. I'll stick around here for a few minutes along with John. If you have any questions about this masterclass or any of the offerings individually, now's the time to ask. Question, John, do you have strong opinions in this training on like the website and the funnel and all that? Some people love ClickFunnels, some people don't. Is that like important, here in this?
Yeah. So let me just briefly come back over here and just get my window so I can see people here. That certainly helps. So give me 2 seconds. So sorry, guys. All right. Yeah, I'll share this here. So opinions on, if I'm not mistaken, you're saying like ClickFunnels for hosting VSLs. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if that's important or not.
The time when it's important is speed. Again, compression, speed kills in VSL still to this very day, but used to be a big problem. Now it's not so much of a problem because there's just so much, boosted server speed and stuff. But as far as the page goes, yeah, I mean, you need to look at simplistic pages. Like the $1 million layout that I'm going to show you, I love that page. I love it. And then I don't know if that page is in ClickFunnels or not. I wouldn't doubt if it is because they got a lot of different pages, but the exact page, I'm not sure. But yeah, you can build this in ClickFunnels for sure. You can build this in just a general page layout. You can build it in several WordPress themes. I mean, as long as the page is fast, that's it. That's your key. And the other thing I want to, while we're on the topic here, is as far as video players, the video player I like the best right now, and this changes, but Vitalytics is what we've been using, and that's what Perry was using on his as well. I think I've turned him onto it, but yeah, Vitalytics, because they preview on iPhones, which is nice. And you can see the VSL, and then when you start tapping it, you can see the words, and then you can see there's action going on, as opposed to like a static, like Vimeo video or whatever. So I like it to where there's action going on the page. So
yeah, I've seen that one. We tried it. It got kind of expensive for us with our like volume of traffic. Yeah. However, I really like some of the features, like you can A/B test The click rate is definitely higher on that, which is really, really swell. But yeah, as you said, like it's definitely worth it, especially for your first run. If you're doing any analysis on your conversion rates, Vitalytics is the go-to.
Yep.
All right. Some questions about, the dates. Is it August 16th and 18th and August 22nd, 23rd and 25th?
August the 23rd, 24th, 25th, I believe, but I don't have the setting right in front of me. But yeah, I can go back in the slides if you need me to do that and tell you the dates. But so yes, we're starting the week of August the 15th is the first of it, and then the next week
12 to 2 Central Time.
Yeah, 12 to 2
as well.
So 12 to 2 Central Time, and yeah, that is live. That's not. There's nothing. There's nothing up our sleeves here. It's us delivering it live. Now, the course materials, again, could be delivered on audio, but I just know from doing this live that it's different. It's just a different experience. So it's something we want to share with you guys. So, and if you can't make it, by all means, just know that this is going to be recorded, and you still get it. At least you'll get it at a really big discount from what we're selling it for.
Yeah, so it doesn't expire if they can't make the dates live?
No, if they can't make the dates live, no, they still get the deal. The only time this expires is when we fill up the class. So it's that simple. I mean, we have it only can hold 500 people. So
cool. You're very thorough. There's not a ton of questions here, so yeah.
Well,
that's great. And I see here, I think it's only on my end, that we have 100% audience. 100% of the audience has clicked on this offer. So that just shows you that there's alignment here, that the people's needs are being fulfilled by what you're giving. So
that's great.
That's
well,
awesome.
Let me, if I can speak to one more thing before we call it a night. We didn't even set up a sales page for this because it was like, it just goes to the checkout page. And we do that normally on webinars anyway, because a webinar is a glorified sales page. But normally for every offer I have in the world, we have a VSL or a sales page, or, we use different mediums for different things. And I always use VSLs in something, but we didn't, this was like, hey, I want to do this sooner rather than later. And we don't want to have this delayed by, not having pretty graphics on a page. So don't let the sales checkout page fool you. It's like, this thing's a beast. It is the definitive VSL course, and it's going to make other VSL things obsolete. So if I do say so myself. So look forward to having all of you.
I love that. Yeah. So this will be recorded. I will put it on YouTube. If you haven't explored our Jasper YouTube channel, we've now crossed over 1 million views, which is kind of sweet.
Ooh, nice.
And it's all trainings like this, where we have expert copywriters coming in and showing off, how to grow attention, leads, sales, etc. So this will be on there later. Apply that code at discount. If this was valuable for you and we should have Jon back for an encore, let us know in the comments. And he said that, earlier, Jon, you were just saying that this is just like the start, it's the iceberg, tip of the iceberg for, what we could do in training and AI together, and helping deliver value fast.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Look forward to bigger and better things always, man.
Question about time being set aside, daily and weekly to learn and implement this.
So each teaching segment is going to be about 2 hours long, but that includes questions and answers. So the first few modules are the ones that take the most amount of time, because that involves avatar research, filling out your avatar's diary, and doing what we call a hook map. So those 3 things usually takes people about 4 or 5 days to do. And after that, it's pretty smooth sailing, because that's all the heavy lifting in the course. The rest of it is just strategy. Like, oh, you use this phrasing here. Here's where you want to stick this phrase. Here's where you want to stick this. So it's pretty straightforward. But you have to do the heavier lifting at first. And I can't tell you this. I had this written in my VSL notes and I didn't read it, but it's because I try to do this, as much off the cuff as I can. But I will tell you flat out that I do not know that I can think of. I do not know a marketer that is not a millionaire many times over that has also done his market, his avatar research. I just don't know of any. There may be one. I'm not saying that there's not. I just don't know of any that's done a deep dive avatar research. We're talking like what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about looking for 5 minutes on Google. I'm talking about something that's much more in depth than that. If you learn just those little examples I gave you guys, if you learn how to say what your prospect is saying, and they won't tell you, they will not, I got to tell you this, sorry, Austin, go off another tangent here, but they will not tell you in a survey. They will not tell you in a Facebook quiz. They don't do it. And it's a very simple reason why. It's the same reason you'll tell your bartender stuff. You'll never tell your best friend. I mean, that's for unfortunate for some people. I don't fit that description, but a lot of people do. It's just, a lot of people will tell the total strangers in anonymity something they would never tell their best friend because of anonymity, because they don't want to be embarrassed. And so knowing where these people go to congregate is super, super, super important. Knowing how to have a conversation with them there is even more important. So that's just a little taste of what we're going to be talking about inside that first one. So that's going to take most of your time. And then the rest of it's going to go pretty quick. So a lot of people will have their entire VSL done in the 2 weeks that we do it. A lot of people will have it done. It just depends on, again, if you can put 30 minutes a day into this, maybe 45 minutes a day into this. This is not like something you have to put 6 hours a day into. The more work you put into it, the better the results often, but sometimes there's a point of diminishing returns. And so you're looking at, an hour a day to get this at max, to get this really nailed down.
Incredible. What are some of the,
go ahead.
So some industries that you've seen this just do really well in, I'm just curious across, like, what's the smattering of different industries?
It would be easier to name the ones that it hasn't done well in, because it's really hard for me to think of one that I'm thinking, like, I used to say gold, because gold is it's investment, it's whatever. And then I saw a guy with a gold VSL. And then I met a guy, he's in one of my testimonials that you didn't see because my voice was giving out, so I just skipped over them. But Trevor Mock, who does this stuff, and he used it for his goal. So I was like, okay, well, I can't say that. And I used to say selling cars. And then my friend gave me a testimonial. He used it to sell his own car. And then the Ford F-150 ad came out. When was it? Like 6-7 years ago. And that was a VSL. And I actually got in touch with one of the guys that works in the ad agency there. I go, you guys are using a VSL. They go, we know. It's like, so it's a VSL on a commercial where every single word was on the commercial. So it was the very first time I saw a VSL on a commercial. So I'm not sure, to be honest with you, what companies it wouldn't work for. I would tend to think that if you're selling something that's super visual, like if you have to show like a wedding dress or something that's very soft. But I did a challenge once where I said, throw me out a business that you think this wouldn't work for. And somebody said wedding planning, that was something, right? Because this is for future brides, and they're wanting things that are pretty, and, they're not wanting to watch a video. And then we had a conversation about, like, well, how are you selling it right now? And they were selling, like, at today's brides, that's not the name of the company, but at today's brides, we do this and we do that, and our custom this and blah, 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 blah. I said, you're talking at somebody. You're not speaking with somebody. So I said, I try this out and see if this changes. And they just tried like a little 1-minute bump of a video in front of their normal sales page. It's like, is the day approaching a little too quick? Are you a little unsure of how you feel? It's just so much tension, so much pressure. What if there's a way we could take some of that pressure off of your shoulders so that your special day is magnificent? Would you be interested in that? Presto. It was like, yeah. So I don't know of a way, I don't know of an area where those skills can't be used. So yeah, the answer is I can't even tell you. but if somebody asks me, I'll tell them straight out. If they said what we sell, we sell underwater basket weaving courses, then I'd probably say no.
Awesome. Hey, you're getting a lot of love here in the comments section. Just tons of people saying this is a lot of value. So thank you for joining us. I don't see any more questions rolling in. So I think you're free to go write some more VSLs.
Free to take a dinner break. All right. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to come on here, Austin, and obviously Darby, because that's how we met. But and everyone here, thank you very much for spending so much time with us today. And I hope that this is going to help you. Love to see you. Love to meet you inside the aiauthor.com/go. And thank you again.
All right. Thank you all for joining us live, and go ahead and join the Attention Framework Masterclass, and I'll be alongside you. Cheers.